And we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the delay. Technical difficulties and things of that nature happen. Anyway, so
You know what they
folks,
say, car is subject to change.
that's another thing, but see, that's not the reason for the delay. That's not the reason for the delay.
It's technical issues, but it is what it is, scheduling and all
Yeah,
that, but
this is
it
true.
happens.
Right? So anyway, we've got a guest on. We have the new GM for Titan Championship Wrestling Entertainment, and he's in the green room right now. We're getting ready to bring him on. Folks, y'all welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Mack.
Yo, what's
How you
going on,
doing, sir?
guys?
Give this man his flowers. Finally.
How
Get
you
some
doing?
recognition, some respect.
Listen, I appreciate the love. I really don't like flowers; they smell, and I'd rather people just share my matches online.
Well, that's sharing content online. What a concept.
Yeah,
Wow, it's
yeah.
wow, it's so simple, yet it's so hard to do for some reason. Hmm.
Gosh,
Believe me, I know all about it.
yeah.
Whether I'm wrestling, promoting, general manager, commentating, ring announcing, whatever it is, I've done it all in the wrestling biz.
A man after my own heart,
But
sir.
getting people to share promos, share the posters, share the flyers, announcing the dates, announcing the content, announcing, sharing their interviews, their podcasts, anything. It's like pulling teeth with some of these people. It's amazing. I'm
I
only here
agree.
trying to help you out.
Yeah, it's like hurting cats.
Right. It is. See,
Yeah,
this podcast is paid fully by bookings.
I feel
Believe it
you.
or not. That's actually how this thing runs.
Mm.
This runs
Mhm.
on wrestling money. It don't run on my bank account. It runs on my wrestling funding. So
That's what's
that
up.
and I don't wrestle. I just ring announce. So there's that. Um you know damn well I ain't
He's not
getting
a bump
paid to
and feed
take
boy.
bumps.
He's not a bump and feed boy.
No, no.
Some people ain't about that life. It's all good.
I am not a bump guy. And I mean that in every sense of the term, whether you mean the taking a bump off this table or you mean taking a bump in the ring, it ain't me. That's not me.
Some of the guys take bumps in the back before the show and after the show.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
This is true, yeah.
hey, that is the reason I stopped going to this bar years and years ago. I walked into the men's to use the facilities, and there was two dudes doing a line off of the
Well,
toilet bowl. God's witness. I walked back out, left
that
my
is
drink, grabbed my wife, and walked out the bar, and never
so
went back. Never
so
went back.
I don't know.
wow.
This might get you
We are
guys a little bit
starting
of
to
a
show.
viral. This might get you a little bit of a viral hit. I wrestled Hawk and Animal, the original Legion of Doom,
Hell yeah.
way
Awesome.
back around 2001, I believe it was, or 2000. I don't remember when it was. But after the show, we were booked on another show in New Jersey. We were in Long Island, New York, and going to another show in New Jersey. So we took them in our car, me and Moff. We were the hit squad at the time. And so we're riding with Hawk. And Hawk's telling us all these stories. We had developed in that one afternoon, developed a really awesome bond with him that it lasted till the day that he died and the day that Animal died. You know what I mean? But Hawk's telling us the story of how What a Rush came along. And I don't know if you guys ever heard the story, but they were stuck in a hotel. I believe it was in like Minnesota or something like that. And there was a blizzard, and they were on the second floor of this hotel. There was a blizzard. The snow was banking up as high as the second floor. So the boys were all just sitting around doing nothing. Now, this is the 1980s. And Hawk says, they were doing, who could do the biggest line? So Hawk said, lay it out. I'll do it. So they laid out like a 6-foot line. Hawk said he started one end, went all the way down to the other end. All of a sudden, Hawk took his shirt off, ran out. He went to the balcony, jumped off the balcony into the snow, came back like 2 or 3 hours later through the front door, no shirt on, sweating. And the boys were like, what the hell? He was like, I don't know, but what a rush. And that's how it was born. That's what he told us himself. I don't know if that's what really happened, but I'm never going to doubt Hawk. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Mike, Hawk Hegstrand was the man. So yeah, I'm never ever gonna doubt anything he tells me.
Jesus.
Wow, this started off the left field.
Hell
Right
yeah,
back. I love it.
brother. Let's
Oh
just go
my God.
wild. Everything's all card subject to change. It was supposed to be Billy Fetsky, the owner of Titan. He can't make it. I'm here. So we're running a little late. Let's make it a little interesting for those that tuned in.
Yeah, it's
Right?
a party. I like it.
All about it. All about it.
Hey,
Well, dude, I mean, like we know a couple of guys who used to work with them as well. Goth and Rage.
Okay. I
You
heard
know
you.
them? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. I figured you would know at least Rage because I think Rage works up that way. He
Mhm.
does some work
Yeah.
up in the New York area.
Yeah.
I
Dude.
had the honor of having him watch a couple of the matches I was in. I was managing, and I did this funny spot because who I was managing was a personal trainer and still is to this day.
Mhm.
So I figured of this spot. If she's on the outside, call for a timeout. What time is it? Check it. We had to eat. So I literally made a sandwich in the middle of the match, fed her the sandwich, and then continue on. If we don't eat, we're going to lose our gains. He lost his shit.
That's awesome.
He thought it was the funniest thing.
That's
Uh,
great.
So that was pretty cool. And then
3 hours is 3 hours. If you got to eat every 3 hours, you can't wait till 3:05 or 3:20. No. You got to eat every 3
on
hours.
the dot, my guy.
Yeah.
We got to get that protein in.
That dedication I'll never have.
Yeah, it was funny, and he loved it. And then I got to meet his wife and his daughter at WrestleCade, and they are amazing people, absolute sweethearts, and they're doing what they can to keep the the memory and just the legacy that is Animal. It's awesome.
Joe had texted me, Animal had texted me, how come you're not hitting me up? And like in my mind, I'm like, I'm just a fucking indie guy. Like I'm nobody special. And I was like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. If I give you my number, it's because I want you to hit me up. Because he always like had stuff for me. Like I was teaming up with KTB for a little while. He wanted to use me and KTB at some company in Las Vegas, and that ended up falling through. Then he wanted to use me and Moff originally. Him and Hawk both wanted to use me and Moff for a company in Florida, and for whatever reason, didn't happen. But like he would always hit me up, send me your stuff. I want to see how you do it. And like I would send him stuff, but like I'm tripping out because I'm getting yelled at by Hawk and Animal. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think for any second I'm like just because I've wrestled like the Dudleys, the Steiners, the Samoans, Demolition, Road Warriors. I wrestle everybody that you could think of, the Briscoes. It's still the Road Warriors. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what, it's like, oh man, this is so cool. What is my life? You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, man. We like I say, we know a couple people who've been around them, and the stories are always crazy.
Yeah, fantastic. It's all part of the journey, right? It's crazy world of wrestling. Dude, you just list a bunch of legends in their own right that you wrestled against.
And now you have Outlaws. I'm sorry.
I mean, just the knowledge that you have under your belt, just to be in their presence, just to listen in on them. That's got to be an encyclopedia worth of. I mean, people will kill to be in that position, to do anything to be in that kind of position, man.
Ray Kalitri, our former Titan championship wrestling middleweight champion, he always was like, Steve, what the hell? How come we don't have a book or a documentary on your career and life? Because you've got some ill stories. I'm like, I'm not. I tell her I'm not special. I'm just, to me, I'm just some guy from Brooklyn, short, fat guy, got lucky, could wrestle, could do something in the ring, not too crazy, not too big. Some people think I suck. Some people think I'm great. I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I just like to have fun. I like to teach now, like, showing the younger guys. But like, when I look at my career, I've been very fortunate and blessed to have a lot of the opportunities. You know what I mean? And, this is, I hope you guys appreciate this segue. I've been in the ring with some of the biggest of Titans, which led me to my career at Titan Championship Wrestling. I hope you guys appreciate that.
Like, yeah, I like that.
That was beautiful. It was fantastic.
I got the pro mentality always.
Yeah, see, you're putting the pro and professional right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh man. So Titan is a relatively newer company. They started within the last year, realistically.
No. They started 3 years ago. It's going on 4 coming up, and I was actually on their first show, their main event, me against the franchise Shane Douglas, and the current champ, Anthony Gangone, was the opening match of that show. So there's a lot of history of guys who've worked for this company that have been weaving its way through, the fabric of the company's lineage. You like all those fancy words? I almost sound educated.
Yeah.
Make nice pinky up, my friend.
Okay. The reason I thought it was only like the last year was because of what I had been informed of. So I apologize.
I was going to say, because that's on me, because of confusion. Their anniversary show is coming up in January, right? Your big anniversary show.
Yes.
Okay.
And like I said, it was literally the January before the pandemic hit. So that was 2020, right?
Yeah.
And we ran a couple of shows. I believe we ran 2 exactly before the pandemic hit. We had to call it quits for a couple of months. We were the first company back during the pandemic in Jersey. I don't think there was anybody else. There may have been one company, but as far as I know, we were the first. You know what I mean? And we did a thing where you could drive in your car. We had everybody, we had a radio station set up. So all you had to do was tune into your radio station. Everybody could watch the match from their car, didn't have to get out. And, if it was kind of cool because at some point it got a little dark. So the headlights went on and it was all focused around the ring. And, the cars were honking at the end of the matches and stuff like that. And, it was a pretty cool deal. And the last 3 years have been a crazy ride. I was their first heavyweight champion. I won the very first Mount Olympus Battle Royal, which is actually coming up, the annual Mount Olympus Battle Royal in November. We've been going on through, whatever ups and downs we faced, we've been taking it head on and just, you know what I'm saying?
1 second, sir.
What did you say? David, you're muted.
Hey, sorry. I think it's your mic, Steve. I muted you, and that stopped the crackling. It's weird. There was some crackling in the background there. Sorry about that.
Turn off my fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that was weird. But no,
a fan can cause electrical interference because the
static electricity.
Yeah, it's the magnet in the back.
Do you hear it now?
No, we're good now. Yeah, we didn't hear you then the last bit, but I'm sorry. Let's go back to what you were saying because we couldn't hear what you were saying, so I do apologize.
Sorry. So, with Titan Championship Wrestling, started before the pandemic, the January of, we had 2 or 3 shows under our belts. Pandemic hits. We come back. We're probably the first company, if not the second, but I'm pretty sure we're the first company to run during the pandemic. We had a drive-in show where people drove their cars. It was outdoors. Cars surrounded the ring. We had a radio station where people could tune in, listen to commentary. And it was kind of cool because as it got darker, lights were, the headlights are turned on. And as people won, the cars were honking. And, it was a cool deal. And then, throughout everything, whether it was full-on pandemic and having shows and people wearing masks and, everyone going through COVID tests and, we had our first Mount Olympus Rumble that November, where the title the title to become first Titan Championship Wrestling heavyweight champion was up for grabs. I won that. I got COVID that week from that show. I'm pretty sure. So, and not only that, I moved. So I did the show. I moved. I was dying a horrible death. Didn't know I had COVID until the Wednesday. And I went outside. It wasn't even that cold. It was probably like maybe 60 degrees, but it dropped me on my ass. So I was like, oh, I'm sick.
Nice.
Got COVID. So, but we survived all that, came back. Like I said, it's been the last 3 years. It's been an awesome ride because I've been helping out as much as I can in the back as well as in the ring. I'm former heavyweight champion and tag team. And
I'll be back.
It's one of those deals where like everything that we do, it intertwines with itself, and we have a lot of history between everybody. If you see anybody with a title, it's because they have history there. Currently, we have TJ Savage. He's challenging for the title next week. He's challenging Anthony Gangone for the Titan Heavyweight Championship, and the very first free-for-all, which is a tryout that we conducted. He was a part of that very first free-for-all tryout. And the current middleweight champ, Jocko, he's part of that as well. And, there's just, we like to keep things as much in story as possible because there's a lot of history there. And, one of the things that we're doing is also we're shouting out. We just signed with Premier Streaming, which is the home of House of Glory and WrestlePro and a couple other wrestling companies. We were on MobFi TV, and we're very grateful for MobFi. They've been helping us get the word out. But, we went on to another platform so that way, everyone can follow the history of Titan. And as the weeks progress, you're going to see more and more of Titan's old shows premiere on Premiere. There's a lot of
what you did there.
names. See, I'm good with the wordplay, man. I
love it. I love it.
Right.
But
Right.
and we just this summer we were down in North Carolina. We had the Andre the Giant Memorial Show. I'm telling you right now, Titan's coming back to North Carolina. We're gonna hit up North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Tennessee. We're all over the place and looking to extend our range. And we're also looking at places like Pennsylvania, New York, up here. And just we're not trying to change the wheel. We're not trying to be a GCW. GCW can afford to be on a global scale. We can afford to be on a regional scale. So we're going to stay to that regional area, whether it's Northeast or we're going to go a little bit, Mid-Atlantic area.
Right.
We know there's a rich tradition in the Mid-Atlantic area, and we saw it. I was talking to you guys before we went on the air. Baron Bullard, him and his partner, I heard them talk. I got fired up. I was ready to run through walls. You know what I mean? Like I was just ready, and it's that tradition of in the Carolinas, in Atlanta, wrestling isn't sports entertainment. Wrestling is a fight. Wrestling is tradition. Wrestling is two guys,
Religion.
3 guys, 4 guys going at it, beating the crap out of each other for a reason. Not just to do flips, not just to do. And listen, there's nothing wrong with those guys that do flips. One of my best friends is the SAT, the fathers of the style of flipping and doing high spots and spotlights.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. I love that stuff. I love being a part of that, actually. I love being there to help make that magic. But at the same time, I've got big ass hands. I love blasting a dude in the face with my fist. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about to me. That's what wrestling is.
Simple yet effective, my friend.
Exactly. Exactly.
That-
My fist is in the
simple,
clothesline. My
stupid.
shoulder is ready to fall off my body after 26 years of throwing clotheslines at people. You know what I mean? But I'll still throw it until my arm flies off because there's nothing better than when you hit someone and that crowd is all there and they hear that and then they all, oh, you know what I mean? There's that face of in unison. You see everybody in front of you. Just make that face. That's the best part of wrestling to me. You know what I mean? I love that. And in that area where you guys are at, in Mid-Atlantic area, it's beautiful because you could go there and be appreciated for just putting on a good old-fashioned slobber knocker. And they're going to love you as long as you put in max effort.
True.
Right.
I like
And see,
that.
that's the thing.
Put in max effort.
There is there's a lot of people down here who still do that. that style, and that's my preferred style of wrestling as well.
Mhm.
I do like the technical. I'm not going to deny that. Um, I don't care for the flippy shit. I'm more of a if you're gonna do the flippy shit, might as well make it a hardcore. And then I like hardcore things.
Mhm.
Um, I don't necessarily mean the hub, but um, I mean in general, the Dudleys they're my favorite tag team. That's just how it is.
Mhm.
So guys like that, matchups like that. So
That explains a lot.
when you get brawlers in there throwing bombs, now you got me, hooked.
Sure.
I don't want to watch another Floyd Mayweather boxing match. I want to see Mike Tyson come back and put somebody's jaw in the third fucking row.
Yeah.
Now I'm entertained.
Yes.
I mean, they call you Monster Mac for a reason, and that's what I love. I love seeing, and they coined it. They stole it from me. Kaiju battles in the ring, big beefy boys beating brutal. That's what I love to see. But I also do like everything else. But when it comes to those hard hitting, intense, passionate fights, you could feel that energy, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know for a long time when I started, wrestlers didn't like using the word fight. And for me, I was like, but that's what we're doing. We're fighting. If you're afraid to use the word, then guess what? You're going to be hesitant in the ring. And if I want to do something where if I'm going to hit you and you're going to bitch out, it's not that I'm not going to respect you, but I'm not going to think of it as highly of you. You know what I'm saying? For me, listen, anybody can pull the trigger on a gun. And I love shooting guns, but it's so much more satisfying. If I get knocked out, I get knocked out. I have no problem. I could wake up the next morning knowing that if we shot the fair one and you dropped me, you were the better man that day.
Right.
And that's what wrestling comes down to. I am all for it. You know what I mean? All these kids today, oh, you made fun of me, so I'm gonna shoot you. All right, what are you proving? You ain't proving nothing. And this is society. This isn't wrestling. But like it carries over into wrestling. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them, oh, he called me a name. Listen, I get it. Wrestling's not for everybody. I have been in front of hostile crowds. I'm not black, but I got called the N-word. I got called every kind of derogatory. I have what we call up here chinky eyes, right? Not because I smoke weed or anything, but just because I look Asian, right? I've been called every Asian slur that you could think of, right? Doesn't bother me. You know why? Because I have the mentality to go and work and bust my ass and do what I got to do to make sure that when you see me, you're going to hate me and want to come back the next month, pay your hard-earned money to pay it for a ticket and watch me get my ass whipped. And when it doesn't happen, you're going to keep coming back. And then eventually, guess what? They all love me. Whether it's because I'm funny, whether it's because I'm sexy, whether it's because I'm a badass, whatever it is, they all love me. You know what I mean? And that's just the way. There's a group of us up here that we've been like that. We listen, I get it. A lot of people, I get that out. Oh, it has to be a safe space. All right, well, but when you get the vets like me that come around and you call us all crabby old men, it's because we got to deal with kids that can't hang with stuff like, oh, he called me a name. It's wrestling. People come to watch wrestling to forget their life for 3 hours, 4 hours, because life is hard enough as it is. I don't know if you guys noticed. It's pretty rough out there. And if I want to go watch wrestling, or if I want to go watch football or baseball or go watch a play, it's my escape for that couple hours. I'm putting my money down to escape. So if somebody wants to be, stupidly racist, go ahead. You paid your money for it. As long as you don't touch me, we cool. You can call me everything that you want. I'm not going to be mad. I'm just going to laugh. You're going to love me, and you're going to want to see me fight the next time I'm in the area. That's the way I look at it. I could be wrong. I'm old. You know what I mean? But
no. So I think that there's a limitation.
Mm-hmm.
One thing would be like, all right, I've seen the spots. Have you seen the spots where, wrestler A takes the bad guy and he's holding him outside the ring and the fans take a turn?
Yes. So you do that with kids. So I wrestled PJ Savage last year, and we were brawling on the outside, and the crowd hated me, which was fine. And there was a kid that I was picking on. So I told PJ, let's go outside, and we'll go in front of the kid, and have the kid, you hold me and the kid will hit me. Everyone popped huge. It was a great spot. We get back in the ring. I kick PJ in the head. That's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to make it work right. You know, you get everyone involved.
Agreed.
That kid's going to remember that for the rest of his life.
He is.
I actually hit a wrestler. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a great memory. That'll make him want to invest in wrestling in the future. So I'm all for that. Now, if you're drunk and you're at a show and you want to get a little stupid, well, you
That's
can get
different.
treated.
Yep.
What is it? You play with the monkeys, you go to the monkey house. In Japan, that's what they say. You know what I mean?
Or that you F around and found out.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
what I tell my kids, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Stupid prizes. Hell yeah.
That's what I tell my kids.
It's absolutely true. But that's the thing. It's teaching people consequence. There's not a lot of that
Yes.
around to where
that's exactly what it is.
Kids to teenagers to young adults, they don't learn that their consequences, for their actions cost them. That's something that we're gonna get back to.
I entirely
Correct.
agree, man.
Totally agree. 100%. That's for anybody.
Yeah.
But I have to ask. So
Yeah.
you just mentioned your in-ring work. I mean, you have a phenomenal list of just great competitors. You have now transitioning over to general manager. Is there anything that you think from your in-ring work as a worker that you could bring into being a general manager? Is it a transition? Is it an easy transition? First part of the question. And what have you brought over with you to be a general manager that you think will help you to run Titan Championship Wrestling?
So I'm not giving up. I'm not retiring. I'm not stepping away from wrestling. I do want a lighter schedule. I mean, I've been doing this 26, going on 27 years in February. Very long time of bumping without really taking a break. I think the longest break I had was 3 months when I split the back of my leg, and I had to get. Actually, I didn't even take 3 months. I think I took 2 months. Like I've had breaks. I've had separations. And the most time I've missed was 2 months, so that's a lot of bumping, a lot of wear and tear. And you guys see, I like to have fun talking. I like to, I like to help people out as well. I like to motivate. I like to show them and teach things. I always say it like this: 2 + 2 is 4, but so is 1 + 3. And a lot of people don't see that. They don't understand that until I break it down like that. And they're like, oh, what worked for me isn't going to work for you, but what worked for you isn't going to work for me either. So you got to figure out what's going to be your option, what's going to work for you.
You have to solve your own equation.
Exactly.
Ah.
Exactly. That could be a shirt. You know what I mean? We should get together on that, make some merch money off that shirt.
You have to solve your own equation.
But
PEMDAS, remember that?
Yes, I was talking to my daughter this week about she's doing that in school, and I told her, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. She's like, oh, it was like her mind was blown. Yeah, but with that experience that I have, though, part of why I brought up what I was talking about with how I feel about the generation now, as a general manager, I want to see more fights. I want to see people go in there and give it their all. I don't want to see gymnastics, although I love it. I want to see more fights with meaning. If you punch him in the face, why did you punch him in the face? What's your reason for punching him in the face? If you are in there with Martin Stone, let's just say, right, which we are going to talk about in a few, but if you're in there with a beast like Martin Stone, why are you doing the moves that you're doing? I want there to be more of a story, more of a reason behind everything. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's also going to be a learning lesson. What's your consequence of doing what you did? Did Martin Stone kick you in your fucking lip and wrap your head or your lip around your head? You know what I'm saying? Did you learn that lesson? What did you learn from that lesson? That's my goal as far as being GM. That's why this card, there's a lot of matches that have that. Everybody's got a learning, a lesson to learn in their match. You know what I mean? Whether it's Anthony Gangone and PJ Savage, Joe Ocasio and Martin Stone, even down to Jay Outcast and Chris Cage, everybody that's on the show on the 14th is their match has a lesson for them, everybody involved. And, as part of GM, that's my duty. You know, that's something that I got to bring entertainment. I got to bring fun. I got to bring excitement. I got to be the guy to bring a reason to why Titan is the way that it is. So that's what I'm doing.
I like that. That is amazing. That's awesome.
Right.
I mean, it's just not that many
You don't
promoters
hear
think
it. You
that
don't hear
way.
it brought
Yeah.
up like that. You don't
Yeah, you
hear it
don't.
put that way. And that is one of the things that, you know, as an outsider looking in, I'm like, okay, you have my attention. Because you see, if I go see two guys, we'll just say, let's pick some people that everybody knows. If I seen Darby Allin going up against Brian Cage, and I see Darby Allin doing a hip toss to an arm drag on Brian Cage, I'm going to look at you like you've got three heads because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You see Darby Allin doing that to Orange Cassidy. Okay.
Yeah. No,
I bought, sold, fine, good. If I saw him doing that to Rikishi, I would really look at you like I'm lost because it doesn't make sense.
a great man that we've had on here before has said, "Make it make sense."
Yes.
And that's what I think a lot of
Yeah.
promotions, just wrestling, is missing, is make it make sense, make it enjoyable, make it tell a story, and make it relatable in a way.
Well, I have a lot of female talent that I love to watch, right? And there's a lot of female talent that, while if I were in video game mode, I would want to see certain female talent wrestle certain male talent. You know, intergender is something that's very big now, right? But I come from an era where the mentality is women stay with the women, men stay with the men, and you rarely mix at all, ever.
It's still kind of taboo.
Yeah, but now it's more accepted, especially like if you watch deathmatch, there's a lot of females wrestling guys almost every deathmatch show, and that's great for them. For me, if I'm going to do an intergender match, though, so I've wrestled one intergender match that I can think of off the top of my head, and that was against Maria Manic. Maria Manic at the time was bench pressing 300 pounds, easy. She was a beast. So we wrestled, and we went viral because I had a thing where she press slammed me over her head. I'm weighing 290 pounds, right? She press slammed me, held me over her head, walked to the middle of the ring, and dumped me down. And it went viral.
I'm gonna go look that up. Do we have video? Could we get video of that?
It was all over the place, right? And now you guys are seeing that because you're like, your eyes are wide open. You're like, oh, that was the reaction that I wanted. I'm not going to wrestle a 110-pound girl and treat her the same as a 220-pound female, right? Even the 220-pound female, I'm not going to treat her like I'm wrestling a 300-pound man. But if she works out and that's her story and that's her gimmick and character, we're going to do that. Max the Impaler, right? I've known Max the Impaler since she started. You know, I was always giving her advice on certain things. And when she needed motivation, I always helped her. Look, you could do this. You got something special. Like, I would talk to her privately. It was never public, right? But now she's taking over the world. She's gone to Japan how many millions of times? She's wrestling guys. She could get away with wrestling guys because she's just as big as, if not bigger than, most of the guys that wrestle, right?
Right.
So if her and I wrestle, which is something that I would like to do, but if her and I wrestle, it's going to be a different match. It's not going to be.
It's going to be a brutal match.
Yeah.
They would bring it, man.
Exactly. So like when I see like someone the size of like a Candice LeRae wrestling guys, or Candice LeRae is what, 120 pounds at her most? I think that's insulting. You know what I mean? But she's wrestling guys over 200 pounds. Listen, if me and Moff had the ability, which we've done it a few times, we took Ace Romero, 500, 600 pound Ace Romero, press slammed him, ran across the ring, and slammed him into the other corner, right? What am I going to do to 110 pound Candice LeRae? You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, that's my mentality.
Right.
If I have, let's say, an amazing Red who's smaller, I have no problem putting an intergender match with someone who's qualified to. I'm not going to put just anybody, but it's got to be someone who can do red style and hang with red.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to do it smart. You can't just give it out. I know that everybody's all about wrestling is all inclusive. Yes, wrestling is inclusive. Don't get me wrong on this, right? But at the same time, just because you're something doesn't mean I have to book you. You got to have talent still. And if you don't have talent, you don't have the ability, you're going to be a commentator, you're going to be an interviewer, you're going to be backstage, you could be a part of wrestling, but you're not going to be in the ring. If you don't have the skill, you're not going to be in the ring, because every time we go into that ring, you take the chance you might not make it out the ring alive. Listen, one of the greatest wrestlers of our generation, Misawa, died in the ring. Someone who wrestled thousands of matches died in the ring. I don't want to be responsible for going to someone's parents. I'm sorry that your son or daughter died because we put them in a match. And I think about this all the time when I see certain deathmatch matches, because it's so mismatched. I'm like, what happens if something happens? Like, everyone's been lucky kind of so far, and that's kind of how I feel about it. But, you know, like, I think about this whenever I book a match or book a show, what could be not just the safest, not just the best, but just what can be something that's not gonna, that there's very little chance of something crazy happening. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean,
you gotta look at it like that.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, you mentioned a couple names earlier,
Mhm.
and I wanted to throw this at you, just considering the current topic of conversation.
Mhm.
I can remember vividly being kind of like train wreck reaction when it came to Mike Awesome and Spike Dudley.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, you cringe. You want to look away, but you just can't stop looking at the train wreck because you really want to
Yeah.
make sure that dude's going to be breathing afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could even go, like, if you go back to like 93, 92, 91, Vader in WCW on Saturday night, or, you know, any of the jobber shows where he breaks the guy's back. And now, oh my God, this guy Vader's huge. He's killing everybody. He's killing Mick Foley. Mick Foley's a big dude. I don't know if you guys ever stood next to Mick Foley. Mick Foley makes me look like a baby. You know what I mean? He's a big dude.
He's a big dude, yeah.
Yeah. And Vader makes him look small. And Vader's killing everybody. But see, that's the magic of pro wrestling. Magic of pro wrestling is these guys, the story that's told, you believe it. You see it and you believe it. If I can't believe what I'm seeing, so if I have, and I keep bringing her name up, but all right, let's say Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, one of the greatest women wrestlers of all time, right? Sometimes I couldn't believe her and Charlotte Flair going at it because Charlotte Flair was so much bigger than her, right? But okay, it could happen, right? But now you have, let's say, Sasha Banks and Nia Jax. Nia Jax is a big woman. No way in hell Sasha Banks is throwing Nia Jax around. So if that's a woman that's that size, how is Nia Jax going to throw a guy around? I mean, not Nia Jax, Sasha Banks. How is she going to throw a guy around? You know what I'm saying? So when I look at the indies, knowing that they're not WWE quality, knowing that they're still on the come up, learning the business, learning their craft, learning everything. You know, sometimes you got to be put through those paces. Spike Dudley was already a trained athlete. He already knew what the deal was as far as when he would have to wrestle Mike Awesome or Bam Bam Bigelow. He knew what the risk was. He was willing to do that and sacrifice to be somebody, become somebody. He was at that point in his career. Some of these kids don't even know what that's about. They're still learning.
It's a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah. And
Physically,
I don't mean it disrespectful. It's just that I'm 44 years old, so everybody's a kid to me. You know what I'm saying? I call 50-year-olds kids if they look too young. You know what I mean? But, you know, to me, that's what I see. When I see the guys and girls in the ring now, they're kids to me, you know, and it's not because it's demeaning. It's just because I'm older, and that's it. That's really all it is. You know what I mean? But I want to look out for their safety. I want their well-being to be taken care of, because a lot of promoters don't. They just, all right, you're gonna get me this amount of tickets. You're gonna get me this amount of views. That's all I care about. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of them don't care about the safety of the performer. You know, I'm a performer. I'm management, I'm performer, I'm on-air talent, backstage talent, I'm everything. So I see it from all angles. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have to worry about that stuff because if I don't, I know nobody else will. And when something does happen, because listen, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You
Yeah.
have to be ready for that. I got to be the calm head in the room that when the whole place is exploding, keeping everything together so that we don't lose things. You know what I mean? And that's the way I see it.
It does suck when you're faced with, that X being thrown. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That is not a good feeling. When
Been
you're in the
there,
ring
done that.
or when you're
Yeah.
outside the ring, it's just not pleasant. Man. So
And listen, I used to do a spot. We had a show. There's a company called Jersey All Pro Wrestling. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but JP is like the forefather of Ring of Honor. A lot of the JP talent that was there when Ring of Honor started, that's where Ring of Honor was getting a lot of their talent from. And we had a show. We had a building in Bayonne, New Jersey, that it was the ring was set up about 6 feet away from this wall. So we had fans on 3 sides and a wall. And now this is back in 2000, 2001, 2002. This is before social media. This is before, YouTube, whatever. And I've actually talked to a couple other guys. They told me this is like the first viral clip that they ever saw. I would take guys and press slam and throw them into the wall from the ring, right? So I did it. There's actually, if you look up JPW, the wall, you'll see a bunch of mine. And one of them was a guy that I liked very much. We used to wrestle a lot. And I would tell people, I was like, no matter what, I got you. We're close enough. You're not going to hit the floor. Just don't grab the rope. So he got nervous and he grabbed the rope and he went straight down. Hit his head, was snoring. I was nervous as hell, but I had to keep going, right? Because I knew people were going to come out to check on him. And, it cut his career short. And I think about stuff like that all the time. You know what I mean? He wrestled, maybe another year or so. And, he probably could have been wrestling now. He had a good mind for the business, but I think that really killed his passion and love. And I wrestled and, I'm still going today, but I always have that guilt in the back of my mind that I cut their career short because, Is it popping still on my end?
it just was.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fan's off. I don't know what's going on. My mic.
I don't know what it is. Are you using an external microphone or something?
Yeah, I'm using one of those what you call 5 below mics. So it could just be that. You know what I mean?
Probably the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty good. They last a while, but
Well, I mean, I had this one for a few years. I never really had any issues with it that I know of. So it could just be the connection tonight. You know what I mean?
It could be more of that technical difficulty we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But no, man, that's unfortunate. And you hate to hear somebody holding the guilt for that. But at the same time, you told the guy exactly what not to do, and he did exactly what you told him not to do. So I understand you still feel that way, but at the end of the day, you told him what not to do. He still didn't listen to you.
Yeah, but also at the same time, how many people in your life have ever told you, "Hey, I'm gonna pick you up over my head and throw you 10 feet into a wall"? You know what I mean? So
a good point. Yeah.
I mean, it's part of wrestling, though. You have an idea, you agree to do it. If you don't want to do it, vocalize. Make sure you let them know. There's another famous one where Trent Beretta is maybe his second year in the business before he was all big and stuff. I went to go throw him. I ended up throwing him about 25 feet to the wall. And I told him, I said, whatever you do, push off my shoulder. I got you the rest of the way. So if you watch the video, he kind of does one of these and lets go of my shoulder. Somehow the gorilla strength in me threw him. He still reached the wall. He was a little bit low, and at the bottom there's a bench. So he kind of hit the bench. He had like a big raspberry on the side. But because of that, he was like, screw that. I'm never being thrown again. He worked out, got big, and next thing you know, next year he was signed by WWE. I helped him. I motivated him. And like we played it off. We wrestled each other. Me and Mom wrestling, and we played off of that. That there was still real heat, which I'm sure there's always going to be some heat from his end because he was embarrassed and he got hurt and whatever. But at the end of the day, we shook hands. Said all was forgiven. I was like, no worries, bro. You can punch me in the face if you want. That's all good. That's the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand at the same time, if I screw up, let me know, tell me, and I'll do what I can to make it up. You know what I mean? But this is a business where two people make an agreement. We're gonna do something this way, and if we don't want to do it, we let each other know. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
Right.
So, what motivated you to go to become the GM? Was that just thrust upon you, or did you decide, you know what, I want to be GM?
So, like I said, I wanted to be out of the ring, and the GM at the time, SP Anderson, his son started wrestling for the company, and he wants to be more of a manager. He wants to be more, but the manager for his son is really, managing for his son is really what's pushing him. So he stepped down as GM, and at the same time, I stepped up as GM for the company. I mean, like I said, there's a lot I do for Titan, whether it's behind the scenes, in front of the camera, whatever it is. And it's just more of a natural role for me. If I'm not going to wrestle, like I said, I'll still wrestle. It just things are going to be a little bit more selective. And there has to be a reason for them.
Right.
I don't have to be on every show. We've got enough talent. Our roster is strong. Like I said, if you look at this lineup, I'll put this lineup for the 14th, Savage Intentions, up against anything running that day. And I guarantee you, on paper, if you look at it, it's like a lineup of studs compared to whatever else is on that day. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it just, that's something that, like I said, as part of GM, I want to make sure I say this, and part of me feels like a fraud because what I'm about to say, I wrestled guys like Special K and Ring of Honor who are all kids, but I want there to be more of a manly adult look. Not manly, more of an adult look. I don't want it to look like there's a bunch of teenagers wrestling. Whether they are or they aren't, listen, and don't get me wrong, there's like a kid like a Nick Wayne. He grew up in this business. He knows, the ins and outs before he's a teenager, technically,
Oh, he
but
is.
yeah. And, but I don't want my crowd, I don't want you to see a poster of Titan and it'd be a bunch of kids that look like they're in high school. While wrestling is very much a high school mentality, I don't want the fans to know that. I want them to see, wow.
You want it to be believable. You want it to, when we look at the poster, when they look at the poster, they're like, that man could kick my ass.
Yeah.
That man could go. That man's believable. That man could wrestle. You don't want to look, and I've had that happen where I looked at a poster, I'm like, I think me and my nephew could take half of this roster. Like,
I have a very legitimate explanation for what I think here. The show's company name is Titan. So if it's named Titan and you got a bunch of midgets on the show, Houston, we have a fucking problem.
Yes, sir. 1,000%. And I've expressed this to Mr. Billy Fetsky several times, and he's agreed with me. At the same time, you've got to work with what's around you, and I understand that totally. But now we're hitting that stretch where we've been around long enough, and we put on quality product. So the talent that's better in the area, they approach us about working on their shows. So now we can pick and choose what spots to put what people in. Whereas before we had to deal with, whatever we could get and whatever we could do. And, it's also very hard when, you're dealing with talent in an area where TV and the bigger companies pluck them right away. There's been a few talents that, we had to deal with, either they were already on TV or, another company, a bigger company used them. So we had to pull them and, fill their spot with someone else. So you deal with that last minute fill in, you know what I mean? But
We
now
deal with
we're
that
at
here.
a place where, when you look at the name Titan and the poster and the product that it's presenting, it doesn't matter, what you might think of wrestling. When you see the guys, you can be like, oh, those are all a bunch of ass kickers. That's what's up. I want to go see what they got, even if I know
you
nothing
brought up
about
something that you say that the company deals with, and there's one thing I want to talk to Billy because he's like, it's a controversial thing. You
Mhm.
guys are seen as controversial in a way. You guys are dealing with other companies. There is an oversaturation of wrestling.
Yep.
How do you guys deal with that? You deal with a bunch of other guys. I mean, there's pressure on all sides, but the way I see and the way I've been seeing it, you guys are constantly putting out quality product
Well, thank
every
you.
single time.
Thank you for that.
So
It's not easy because believe me, I've gotten several calls at, or messages at 9:30 at night. I can't believe so-and-so said this. And you just got to remind them, let them all talk, because the more that they talk, the more that they show their face. And the less that we talk, the more that people will see, oh, these guys, they're taking all these hits. They're not responding. Why is that? You're either going to think that A, we're guilty of whatever they're accusing us of, or the fact that we're not responding, we don't care. If we don't care about what those negative comments are about us, it's not because we think we're better than anybody or anything like that. It's just there are more important things than to worry about someone who should be promoting their own show is saying about another person's show. If you talk about us, you're promoting us. So whether it's good or bad, you're still promoting Titan. Every time one of your fans see you trash Titan, guess what they do? Oh man, let me look up Titan to see what I can find on them. And then they look up Titan. Oh, it's really not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, so go ahead, promote us. That's cool. Free promotions. It is what it is.
Right.
I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like promotions or promoters who do that kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they're expecting to shrink your ship.
Yep.
In reality, they're affecting all the ships that are in the harbor. It doesn't make sense. You're making wrestling in general look bad because you're talking bad about another promotion. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense.
And I'm not that really religious, right? But I do believe that there's good, there's bad, there's an afterlife, there's a before life, and there's life, right? And I do believe there is some form of what we would call the devil. Devil talks. Devil speaks to us in many different ways, whether it's on our phone, technology, whether it's in books, what we read, whether it's what's on TV. And I do believe that the devil will always talk the worst about the best people because the devil does not want the best people to win and thrive and survive and come through the other side. That's the challenge of the devil. Doesn't matter if you believe in God, Buddha, Jesus, Jehovah, whatever it is you believe in. We all believe that there's a devil. We all believe there's some form of the devil. And on earth, there are those men who will do nothing but talk and trash other people. Doesn't matter if they're good, bad, indifferent, whatever. We'll always trash talk those people. And the best part is that that devil will have a team that surrounds him. And they listen to everything that he says. And what they don't realize is that, yeah, he's got a silver tongue, but he's also got a shotgun for a mouth. Whatever he shouts and shoots at us, he's spraying his team with what his truth is from the inside. Sorry to get a little deep there, but I just, it's something that people need to realize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same company the devil keeps, and what he's spouting, he's hitting him. He's hitting his team with those same exact fragments of hate and evil and whatever it is. So yeah, he could shit on us all day. They could all shit on us. Fuck them. Who cares, right? But they're all biting themselves in the foot because at the end, they're gonna find out what he's really about, what they're really about. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hey, it definitely does. The way, I mean, and it's not just in wrestling, it's in a lot of things. Hell, it's in podcasting.
Yep.
It's in all this shit.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is like this. I give everybody respect, no equivocations, until I'm disrespected. Now we have a problem. I don't demand it, I don't command it. It's one of those things where if this is our first time meeting, I'm a stand up, shake hands like a man type of guy.
Mhm.
You know, if I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off because I got to get everything done for a show, all the notes or whatever, because I got to go announce, I'm just gonna come to you. This is what I need. Thank you. Thank you. Be safe and good luck tonight.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm out the door. I'm gone. I try to be as minimal impact. I don't want you to know my impact in the backstage. I want you to know my impact when I'm in that ring with you and I announce you and you feel like I want you to look at me like
$1,000,000.
Howard the Fink just said your name and we're in MSG. That's what I want you to feel like.
Can I just tell you a quick story since you brought him up?
Please.
I was at a convention, met Howard Finkel. So I go up to him. I was like, Mr. Finkel, it is such an honor to meet you. My name is, and he stops me. He goes, now, son, I know who you are. You're Steve Mack. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I know all about the Hit Squad. I pay attention to the indies. That's part of my job. And I was like, holy shit, Howard Finkel just said my name.
That's
but
awesome.
like, so
Awesome.
like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't take this journey that I've been on for granted because I've had amazing moments like that. And like, how many people could say that they've had Howard Finkel say their name in his announcer voice? You know what I mean? And like, holy
so
shit, this
dope.
is so cool. So that you brought him up, it's only perfect because that
Right.
happened. I know what that's like to hear Howard Finkel say my name. Now, it wasn't an MSG, but you know what? I didn't need it to be an MSG. It was still
Right.
Howard Finkel. You know what I mean?
That's
Right.
dope. That is awesome.
I
That's a
can't
clip.
remember.
That's a clip right there.
It is. I cannot remember who told me that. And it's been within the last year and a half or so that somebody said that to me. And I was kind of taken back by it. And it was somebody I don't think I've worked with before. And they were just like, holy hell, you actually made me feel like I was important to the show. And I'm like, because you are. You're working. Give credit where credit's due. That's it. It's that simple to me.
Yeah.
Give credit where credit's due. If I stand in the ring and I'm the tallest guy in the ring, we have a problem. At 5'7", I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So-
totally get it. I mean, I'm 5'9". I wrestled every major tag team that you could think of in the last 30 years, right? Every
Okay.
single one of them made me look like a baby, right? Because I'm only 5'9".
Wow.
They were over 6'2", 6'3".
That's
you
kind
know,
of scary.
And the crazy thing is, I've had so many wrestlers tell me, man, watching you on tape, I thought you were over 6'1", 6'2". You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I'm sorry to let you down. You know what I mean? But but they say, that your presence is what makes you, how tall you are on camera. And like, I can tell you straight up, Ring of Honor. We're gonna wrestle Carnage Crew, HC Loke and DeVito for the very first time. And the only reason why I know it's the first time that we're gonna wrestle them is because they told us after. They came out to the ring, and we're at the old Murphy Rec Center, which is a small building. It's a gym, a basketball gymnasium, right? It's very tiny. And Ring of Honor already starting to garner a lot of this attention by the time we wrestle them. And they're in the ring. They said our music hit, and Loke turns to DeVito, and DeVito looks at him, and the crowd goes nuts once our music. We're coming out to Snoop Dogg's Pump Pump, and the crowd goes nuts because they know what that means, that me and Moff are coming out. And they turned to each other and they said, "What's going on? Is this like a shoot? Are we gonna have to fight for real?" And like, they told us after, like I said, we got into the ring. Now we're very intense, very, strong. And they said, they were like, they looked at us and it was like they knew that we were the same height as them. But for whatever reason, it's like we became, 3 feet taller for whatever reason. And they were like, "Are we going to shoot right now?" And they said, first punch came in. It was so worked and professional.
Damn it.
Oh no! He had me hooked.
You guys still there?
Oh, there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
First
you kind of
punch came
froze on
in.
us.
It said first punch came in.
First punch came in, and it was so light and professional. And they said that everything at that point then changed. They were like, "All right, we're working," and they were so like hyped up, and we had a lot of people tell us that. It just, when you have that big presence and you know how to make it work for you, doesn't matter if you're 5. Look at Homicide. Homicide is 5'7", right? With his boots 5'9". Homicide fights like he's Andre the Giant.
Right.
One of the most vicious wrestlers ever. If your presence is big and you know how to fight, doesn't matter. I always laugh. Loki always says, not the size of the fight, not the size of the dog, but the size of the fight that he will bring. Right?
Yeah.
It really is that way, though.
That's true. Yeah.
If you have intensity and you bring it, then people are going to believe. You know what I mean? And that's something that, like, guys like a PJ Savage. PJ Savage, I wrestled twice now. Both times, sore for a week after each match. You know what I mean? PJ Savage is a bully, but he doesn't know yet how much of a bully he really is in that ring. Once he learns that and gets that experience, that time, he's only been in the ring, I think, 5 years, 6 years. It's not that long, But once he gets that 10-year mark, now everything's starting to become second nature. He's going to be indestructible. He's definitely someone that the wrestling world is going to know, or anything like that, because he's got the hunger, the excitement. I mean, he comes in, people don't even know who he is, and they're yelling his name with him. And there's not a lot of places, not a lot of people that can do that, but he does that. He commands that respect. Again, you look at Martin Stone. We watch Martin Stone in NXT. Tell me there isn't everything that man does in the ring that you don't believe that he's killing those people that he's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed entirely.
And he's going to be in there with Joe Ocasio is one of the newer New York guys. He's built like a brick. You know what I mean? This dude is a monster. And I can't wait to see what him and Stone do in a week, because that's going to be a fight for both men. Right now, Martin Stone's looking for redemption. Martin Stone, since he got let go, he's had surgeries on his shoulder. He hasn't really had much time in the ring since then.
But he looks like he's never, and that's the crazy thing. He looks like he's never been out of it. Like he's still
exactly. But if you ask him, his confidence level is at a low because he's been away from the ring more than he has been in the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he needs to regain that strength and that mental toughness that he's looking for. With this match with Joe Ocasio wins, he beat Martin Stone. That's going to be big. Martin Stone wins, he gains his confidence back. Who knows where it takes him? So both men, it's not going to be the end of the line if either one of them lose, but if either one of them win, it's a stepping stone to the next level. You know what I mean? And you got to look at it from all aspects. You know what I mean? Yes.
So Titan Wrestling has several. It's an umbrella corp, right? You have 5 other promotions or other projects,
brands,
entities. There we go.
brands,
Entities.
brands.
Yeah, that's a good one.
brands,
Entities,
entities.
assets, whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about those, and
So-
how you guys are using Titan to kind of push this, because you guys have the great mindset. You have a platform and using it to produce and push other projects as well.
So, is because the area is so filled with shows, with companies, with talent, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, we could work with everybody, but why? Like I said before, with Titan, the goal was to develop and to create. When I look at Titan, Titan is a platform for the guys that have been in the business 5 years, 5 to 10 years, looking to get to a GCW, looking to get to an MLW, looking to get to AEW, WWE. It gets them ready for that next level. You know what I mean? Maybe not WWE, AEW right away, but they're having wrestling. MLW, like I said, international, game changer, whatever it is, that's that next level indie that's right before major TV. And that's what Titan is for me, right? And that's not to say that we're not putting on this project. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that in the list of where we stand, you have to be real with yourself. You could be the top indie, which we know we're not the top indie. You know what I mean? There's other companies that are above us on that food chain. But if we are setting the get to that level, then that's a perfect spot for us. That's where everybody's on their best work to get seen. You know what I mean? Then there's the goddesses.
Sorry, Steve. You're cutting in and out here, so I do apologize. 1 second.
All right.
I'm just gonna.
My bad for having a shitty mic. How's
I'm
this?
gonna.
Is this better?
Good for now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just. So that way I can be closer. Too close. I hate my face. All right. So, do you need me to go over Titan all over again?
I think. Well, you said that you don't see Titan as a high indie, but it's kind of a platform to push this talent to get them to where they want to be, like WWE, AEW, but at least get them to push them in a sense.
And it's also a developing. I can see it. I see what you're saying when you go with that, because where we are, we know about PWX and companies like that had a lot of I'm just going to say they had a lot of money involved in what they were doing, and were able to do that. There was a lot of guys who went from PWX into TV. We saw it, and they were going from the indies locally to some of the higher end schools, to PWX, to the AEW, the NXT, whatever. Now it's like you've got OVW, you've got Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I think is pretty popular right now still. Other than that, especially when it comes to the East itself, there's not that many companies that are putting a platform out there or putting a platform together. XWW does a pretty bang up job with theirs, with their platform and what they do. You see WrestleCade. Everybody knows about WrestleCade. Well,
Yeah, everybody knows about WrestleCade. Yeah,
you got AML behind WrestleCade, so same people running the company, or the same people running the convention. We've seen even companies like Stranglehold Championship Wrestling. We've seen them dealing with conventions, and how many people were at that convention we were at last year? 800,000 people were there across 4 days. Yeah, it was some stupid freaking number. It's ridiculous.
I lost count. Yeah, these conventions are becoming another big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the convention idea. There needs to be adjustments made. Let's put it that way.
I mean, But see, that's what we were talking about before. There, with change, you have to have those people who are dedicated to making the change for the scene. Um, in 99, 2000, wrestling was about independent wrestling was about former TV talents and guys who wanted to carry their bags and hang out with them to be cool, rather than wrestlers who wanted to um, become professional wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? And when I say
Okay.
professional wrestlers, I mean make money where they don't have to have a 9 to 5.
True.
Okay.
That's
And
the dream. That's the dream.
yeah. And then, you know, it's the group of me, Moff, Homicide, Low Key, Red, SAT, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, I said Christopher Daniels, Brian Danielson. All of us, we all had the same love for Japanese wrestling. We love WWF. We love Puerto Rico. We love Mexico. We love everything. And then Ring of Honor comes. Ring of Honor comes. Now, all of us who have that love, we're all brought in the same place. And that whole business model of just dialing it in and collecting a payday is out the window. And you have to work hard. You know what I mean? When I tell these kids today that growing up in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, it was like swimming with sharks every single day. You had to be the best and get better, not get worse. You couldn't just settle for being status quo. You had to be the best. There had to be a reason for a promoter to use you, because if you didn't, you would get left behind because everybody else was hungry. And I try to tell these kids today, and you see a lot of them, you know, that have that mentality, but then they get caught up in politics. They get caught up in hanging out with their friends, whatever stupid reason it is. Remember, a lot of them are still kids. We were all young and dumb. We all did dumb stuff. As we learned, as we got older, we learned we couldn't do that dumb stuff if we wanted to make anything of ourselves in this business. You know what I mean? So that's where Titan comes in. Like I said, I use my teaching, I use my connections, I use my friends, I use my hookups to show how, you know, to show these kids and these young talents how to get to that next level. You know what I mean? That's what Titan's for. You know, going back to your original question, David, there's Goddesses of War, which is the all-female talent show. Whenever, you know, I hate to see, I see it all the time, and I think it's so dumb. Well, you know, there's all these posters with all these guys and no girls. Oh, we're running a whole company full of girls. If you want that to succeed, support that. We'll still have girls
Thank
on
you.
our show.
Support
We'll
it.
still have girls on Titan. Don't get me wrong, because I love the women that we use. I love watching them. A lot of them are really good. You know what I mean? But support the all-female company. That way, hey, you want the female you like to watch be on a show? Well, then, guess what? There's a chance that they'll go from the all-female company to the Titan show a lot faster. No problem using women or anything else under the umbrella of professional wrestler. As long as it's good and has talent, there's a support. Who cares, right? But then after that, you have, which is more for the guys of under 5 years experience, Chosen Pro. Those are all mostly they tried out on the free for all. They were good. They were talented. They still need a lot of work, but you know, they could still put on a show. You know, that's where those guys get the reps. You know, if they're good, they get bumped up to Titan. They get bumped up to Goddesses. Excuse me. All right. Then you have Funhouse, which is run by. So there's a professional wrestler named Magic. Magic is one of the guys that helped me get a break in wrestling. He helped get a lot of guys like Santana Ortiz, Chris Dickinson, a lot of guys in the New York area got their break under Magic. Magic runs Funhouse, and that's what Magic does. He likes to hook up some of the older guys that have been around a while and some of the younger guys and mix them up so they can all learn from each other. And then we have, which is more of like a public service, wrestling and recovery, which, you know, is more about if there's a wrestler, listen, let's be real about something. With wrestling comes pain. With that pain comes addiction. I've got probably about 30 or 40 wrestlers who passed away, and I keep them in my phone book, in my contacts, because I use that as a lesson. Don't get caught up in the drugs. Don't get caught up in whatever. It's real easy to get addicted to anything, especially you're in pain. You take a pain pill. Next thing you know, you're taking 2 pain pills. Next thing you know, you're taking 10. You know what I mean? When we look at Chris Candido is one of everybody's favorite wrestlers, right? Chris Candido will, if he was still alive today, would tell you that if the surgery on his leg wasn't the reason why he passed away, more than likely he would have passed away from drugs had he not gotten clean. Which he did get clean, but he's a prime example of how, exactly. Mixing with alcohol and drugs and partying and cocaine. What a rush. Yeah, it's all a good time. But if you could do it the one time, sure. But when that one time becomes you have to do it every night, guess what? Now that's an addiction. Now that's a problem.
Right.
Wrestling recovery helps those who need the help, who are willing to reach out and get the help. That's what wrestling and recovery does. And they spread the word through wrestling. Again, wrestling, there's a lot of pain in it. And you can definitely, a lot of people have been, they've been around for a few years, and, Titan backed them up and they got under the Titan umbrella, but they still go out into the community and, hook up a lot of people with information on where to get help and how to get help.
That's amazing. That's
people
awesome.
Want help and don't know how to get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
True.
Now, Michael King is a guy that we know from our area, founder of King Enterprises. He's currently out on the West Coast doing some things.
Mm-hmm.
He said, sounds like an organization I can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
So that is awesome.
And if you want, I can get you in contact with the guy. His name is Dennis. He's the one in charge of wrestling and recovery. We could easily hook it up, maybe even start something out in the West Coast too. You just never know. You know what I mean?
I think that would be a fantastic
that's
podcast. Actually.
Great.
Yeah.
It just goes back to the adage, it's adage. I don't know what it is, but using your platform for good, using your platform to support a cause, using your platform to bring the spotlight on important stuff in indie wrestling.
The next time I see David, I'm going to have to find a chair or a trampoline because I'm going to have to kick him in the forehead. But we had another comment that was interesting. Shane Sanchez said, "Are you guys looking for workers?" That's I'm not sure what area Shane is in, but if you're in the Northeast area, how would somebody get a hold of you?
So on my Twitter, at Steve Mack, Mack, because a lot of people, is it like a Big Mac? Monster Mac, Big Mac, fucking jerk. But it's Steve Mack DHS on X. I guess it's no longer Twitter. I'm sorry. I'm an old man, and it takes change is hard to accept sometimes. But hit me up on there. I'm very responsive on there. Usually within the same day, unless I'm super busy, but I will get back to you. And just send me your matches, send me your promos. I don't care who trained you. I don't care who, obviously if it's someone that I know and you know that I know them, mention it, shout them out. You know what I mean? Like my guy Hernandez down in Texas, he has students, and Hernandez, will send me students every once in a while to book. You know what I mean? So listen, I got people from all over the country who are willing to come through. So just send me a match or two, and I'll get back to you and let you know what we can do. Well, if worst comes to worst, if you're around someone I know, I could hook you up in your area.
That's true. It's all about networking, man. It's all about networking.
Sanchez is in PA, so
all right. That's what's up.
He just told you how to get there.
Hit me up on there, and I'll definitely I'll give your stuff a look, man.
What's funny is you claim to be old, but you didn't do the stock old person thing when it came to X and call it Twitter X, because that's what
Twitter X.
Yes, Twitter X is what. If you wanted to be geriatric, that's how you refer to Twitter now. You
Twitter
call it
X.
Twitter X.
In my mind, when I say X, all I think of is New Jack crossing his arms, going like this. So, that's where my mind goes to things.
That was an interesting character. Was New Jack. Jesus.
Yes, I don't know if you can see it, but I got a couple of scars from New Jack right up there.
Good
I have
Lord.
that one patch that's missing on the other over here, and
Yeah.
that's from New Jack. So
What? That's awesome.
yeah, so we
Shit.
wrestled. I was bleeding. Low Life Louie glued up my head after the match, and I had crazy glue in my head, which it works. But when I ripped
it's
the
a
glue
suture.
off, well, listen,
Bruh.
when your medical benefits aren't the best, you take Low Life Louie as your doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
But yeah, when I took the glue off, it took off a big patch. And I was already going bald, as you can see, but that spot definitely didn't want to come back. But that was after a match with New Jack.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Y'all hired the doctor that they used in The Punisher, the one that was like, I don't have the best bedside manner. That's why I'm here.
I'm all about it. Listen, do you guys remember the doctor who carried Mick Foley at Hell in the Cell, Dr. Frank Romascavage? He's the big dude with the big hair.
Yeah.
So I've actually gone to him because he's not too far from me in PA. I've actually gone to him for a physical when I went to go do extra work for the WWE. And he was my doctor. And I'd known him for a long time because he used to work for a couple of the companies in Pennsylvania when I was wrestling out here a lot. And, it's crazy that even the doctors in wrestling are characters. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's got the coolest office. He's got British Bulldogs gear, X-Pac, Owen Hart, Bret Hart. He's got their gear all up on his walls. So it's kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
You brought him up, so I got to ask you. You brought him up. I got to ask you. This is going to piss somebody off, but guess what? I don't care. Owen Hart. Do you believe that Owen Hart was the better wrestler?
So when you look at the WrestleMania 10 match, you could sit there and say that he was better than Bret, and not because he won the match. I mean, if you watch the match, he's crisper. He's, everything he does is just more on point. But then you go to the SummerSlam match where they wrestled in the cage, and Bret Hart led that match. Owen was doing some cool stuff, but Bret was in charge the whole way. And I'm pretty sure, being in a family that huge, they were always competitive. So I'm sure if you ask, Bruce Hart will tell you I was the better Hart. If you ask Keith Hart, he was the better. You know what I'm saying? So it'll depend. But I always felt that if Owen came out in today's wrestling world, right, and he was brand new face, never heard of him, he was just coming up, he would fit in perfect with a Bryan Danielson, whoever you want to put in there with, Bret. I think Bret would have been better with the bigger guys like a Samoa Joe, Brian Cage, someone that he could tell that great story with. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't mix as great with the smaller guys. And that's not to say that he couldn't, because he mixed well with Dynamite Kid. You know what I mean? But I feel like Owen in today's climate would have been a bigger name. Whereas Bret,
I agree. And that's the thing. I love Bret Hart. He's one of my favorite. Well, he's probably on there my favorite wrestler of all time.
Bret versus Shawn, I got Bret all day.
So. Yes. And I agree. There's certain things. And Kevin actually was gonna. Never mind, Kevin. I hate you, Kevin. My issues were every Bret match looked like a carbon copy of the previous one. Owen always changed it up. He was never stale.
But if you watch Bret versus the big guys, he did change it up, because the same match you have with Bam Bam wasn't going to be the same match you have with Kevin Nash. You know what I'm saying? True. It was always going to be different. Owen did change it up. Owen did match to the wrestler that he was competing against. So when you saw Owen, he was wrestling a different match. But that goes back to how people say Ric Flair had the same match every night.
Yeah, if you see
not that he had the same match every night. You got to look at his schedule at the time. Ric Flair is wrestling China, Japan, Asia, Africa, Madagascar, or whatever, 50 different countries in 1 week. And then he's got to come back to the States, do the taping. you can barely walk, which is a miracle that he's still alive today, right? But
I haven't figured out how he's alive.
exactly, nobody. He's
His,
a
his
hologram.
all the alcohol he drinks has become like has kind of
It's
gotten
his
into his
blood.
blood.
It
No, the
replaced all the
alcohol
organs.
was the solution.
Yes. Yeah. So
It's now
my friends
become
and I,
formaldehyde.
Morton Dom, we say that a lot of the older wrestlers have become holograms. Vince owned them and signed them off to be holograms, and they're no longer on this planet with us. They're all holograms. So and when they die, it's just because their hardware is outdated. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, you bring up a great point, and that's one thing like I love about Brett. It was just his technical expertise was just amazing. They called him the excellence of execution for a reason, right? And every time he wrestled, he always made sure that the other guy looked good as well. His matches were amazing.
Mhm.
Now, granted, I feel his brother Owen, and I agree, had more charisma and more. I don't know. There's just a difference between how when Owen wrestled and when Brett wrestled, and I think Owen did certain things better than Brett, even though Brett is still my favorite.
Without question.
So here's where I'm at. There was a statement just made if Owen had come 6 years later or whatever, if he had never passed, he would have had a hell of a resurgence.
Agreed.
Owen, after, unfortunately, when he passed, I think Owen was going to be Owen again in line going up against like the likes of Steve and such going after that main, that heavyweight title back then, in my opinion. And I think that he could have been a multi-time heavyweight champion. He was a fantastic wrestler. Yeah, he was also entertaining. But him and Steve had that history and that story, that broken neck. They could have played that off even more so. For the heavyweight title, it would have been a huge story.
That would have been fantastic. Kevin, actually, according to Bob Orton, alcohol, Waffle House, and strip clubs.
I believe it.
That's what kept Ric Flair alive.
Man. But I can't agree with this. HBK is not overrated. Sorry.
I don't think he's overrated either, only because everybody who wrestled him dealt with the attitude, but they still said the same thing. They loved wrestling him. You don't say that you love someone wrestling someone if they're a problem child in the back. You know what I mean? And a lot of wrestlers, not just his boys, a lot of wrestlers said the same thing, that he was one of the best. But real quick, you brought up Owen and Steve, right? You can, if you really want to dive into it, you can look at it. Bret Hart made Steve Austin in one night. I mean, they had a feud, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But WrestleMania, Bret Hart made Steve Austin without a shadow of a doubt in that match, right?
Right.
When Owen wrestled Steve, it wasn't the same. It was Austin who was making Owen up until the pile driver, right?
Right.
Because it's two different styles of wrestlers. Bret was more giving and more willing to make art. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Owen was more about having a great match with someone, and in the long run, if you ask Steve Austin, he's going to tell you Bret Hart's a better guy because Owen Hart broke his neck. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
There's always going to be that, kind of parallel. Who was a better wrestler? The guy who made the guy or the guy who had the great match? You know what I mean? And it all depends on your flavor, what you like. Not everybody is the same. Me personally, I would ask for more of a Bret because I know that Bret would look for a way to make me shine and have me look my best. Whereas with Owen, if I'm not already on that level, I wouldn't know what to do with Owen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But Owen was great. And listen, I watched some Owen. I love watching him in Japan. I've watched him, in other countries where he's just amazing, doing
I like
things
watching
way ahead of
Hogan
his
from
time.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of great athletes, speaking of great, you were talking earlier, you mentioned earlier some really big names that I'm familiar with because I've been following Titan. Let's talk about your next week's show. It's Spooktober. It's spoopy time. So it's cool that you actually have a show Friday the 13th
Yes.
coming up. Tell me a little bit about what's going on there.
So that's Chosen Pro Wrestling's date in Belleville, Bayville. I always say Belleville, but it's Bayville, New Jersey. I mean, the guy in the middle
on the screen there. Yeah.
The guy in the middle, Trey Felipe, that guy is one of the standouts of that company. He's just stud. You could see that every time he's in the ring, he learns, and he gets better. The guy next to him holding the water bottle, that's one of New York's rising stars, Nikolai White. He's a high flyer, and he's actually about 6'4", which is pretty crazy.
What?
You know, he's so amazing, such an awesome dude, and the crowd loves him. You got the masked luchador, Elijah Eden. He actually wrestled PJ Savage on the last Titan show, or the second to last Titan show. They had a banger of a match. You have the girl with the braids. It's Tiffany, the cotton candy queen. She's pretty awesome. I mean,
absolute sweetheart. No
the
pun intended.
Her. Even when she wants them to boo her, they still cheer for her no matter what.
You know, she brings her cat with her to the shows.
Yes, in a backpack.
In a backpack.
Yes,
a space backpack.
Backpack. It's kind of crazy. But so the girl that sings the national anthem for us, she has a pet skunk that she used to bring to shows. It was actually it had his stink glands removed, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
it was
pretty wild.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's Erica.
Yes, Erica. Yes, she has a pet skunk. I mean, animals and wrestling go back to the days of rock and wrestling, where you had snakes and dragons and bulldogs and birds
and llamas.
Yeah, but now they bring their cats, their dogs, and their skunks to wrestling. So, so yeah, this is like I said, Chosen Pro is going to be in Bayville at the House of Titan Championship Wrestling, Bayville Elks Lodge. I mean, every show they've had so far has been pretty awesome. Very well received. I know there's another stud on the show. His name is Michael Fain. He's actually going to be wrestling on our show the next day for Titan. He bounces back between Chosen and Titan a lot, although he's primarily a Chosen Pro Wrestling guy, but he's a House of Glory student. And he's very, I mean, the kid is a blue chipper, for lack of a better term. He's on both shows, and I know, like I said, with Chosen, that is a PJ Savage joint. He's been running the show there since the start, and I know that, like I said, every single show has been talked about the next day. But then we have the next day.
Let's put that one up there.
There you go.
The very next day. Oh, that's a great poster, let me tell you.
I mean, where do you see anybody that you could be like, I don't know if he's a wrestler? I mean, everybody looks like wrestlers. Everybody looks like men. Everybody looks like killers. You got the two up top, Anthony Gangone, who's the current Funhouse and Titan Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. PJ Savage, who's, he's hungry. He's on the come up. He's, they're looking at him as New York's next top wrestling talent. He's challenging, and they have a lot of history with each other. I mean, the show's name, Savage Intentions, used to be called Furious Intentions. Now it's called Savage Intentions. And, it's for a reason. He's going to be the next guy eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this show, but he's going to be the next guy. You know what I mean? Whether it's Titan, whether it's whatever company he wrestles for, he's going to be that guy. Then in the middle, look at that grizzled vet that you have carrying his Rule Britannia flag over his shoulder. Martin Stone. I cannot say enough good things about Martin Stone. He's been on 2 Titan Championship Wrestling shows, and both times he's been an absolute joy, pleasure, just an absolute treat to watch. And then you have next to him the brand new middleweight champion on his, I guess, what would be our left, the one who's kind of bent back. That would be Jocko, the middleweight champion. He just beat the former reigning champion, held that title for over a year, Mr. Ray Kalitri, the shining star. Ray Kalitri definitely is going to be someone in this business very soon. And Jocko came out with the flash win over him. And the former middleweight champion, Nikos Rikos, another heavy hitter. He's in there with Michael Fain, like I was saying before, and that's going to be a test for him because Michael Fain is a stud. Then on the right of Martin Stone, you have the current Mob Fight TV champion, Ken Powers. Ken Powers has been an absolute beast for us. He's just been on a tear for the last few months since winning that title. And on the 14th, he takes on TJ Marconi, someone that, he's 6'6", just under 300 pounds, but solid. No jiggle, no wobble. No
dude, the dude's a freaking monster. He's a
he
is.
Winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
I was just about to say, yeah, watching these guys go at the Andre the Giant celebration was a treat. It was an experience.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think if betting, TJ is going to walk away with the win. That's my prediction for that. I'm just calling it right now.
A lot of people are predicting TJ, but I tell you, he's a lot stronger than people give him credit for. And sometimes if you have a good axe, you could chop down the mightiest of oaks. You know what I'm saying? And then the one other match, this whole lineup is just insane. You got the tag champs, Roxas and Moran. You got Daniel Alexander, the light heavyweight champ. You have the Deadly Sin, Havoc down in North Carolina. Up top, you got Magic, Joe Kaji. Are we back?
Yeah, still getting some static there.
Yay, sorry. Static.
It's all right. But no, come on.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm really trying.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. It's the microphone's fault.
Yes, this stupid microphone. Time to get a new one.
Powerhouse Ken Powers. Nice.
So after Ken Powers, you have above him, you have the tag champs, Roxas and Moran. Roxas recently took on Martin Stone in North Carolina, and that was a banger of a match.
Oh, it was fantastic.
They have a match against the Deadly Sins and the Throne in a 3-way. Then you have Daniel Alexander, the light heavyweight champ. He's on there. In the middle, you have Joe Kajo, who Martin Stone is going to be wrestling. Next to him is Magic, the man who I was mentioning before. But the match I want to highlight is the 2 teams in the upper row. You have First Class on the right, Sebastian Cage and Johnny Santos. And then you have on the left, CMD, Boom Harden, and Deshaun Pratt. And we've had them on before where they wrestled, and they had a banger of a match. Right now, the way that I look at it, those are the 2 top tag teams in the Northeast, without question. Those are the guys that, in another year or two, everybody's going to have them all over their shows. And they're on a lot of shows now. CMD recently were the Combat Zone Tag Team Champions. They just won the SATs promotion. I forget what it's called. Win, I believe it is, or something like that. They just won their tag team titles. Santos and Cage, champions up in New England area and New Jersey and New York. I mean, everywhere you look, everybody that's on this roster is doing something big in other places, but their best work is coming at Titan. And, I'm very proud to say that putting this card together as GM, it's something special to me because I just want to make sure that my first time out, we knock it out the park. You know what I'm saying?
It's a stat card. Everybody that's been Everybody that's on the poster has touched gold or isn't. It's not my mic. It's not me.
It's
okay?
not Dan. It's my mic. It's my mic.
Kevin's blaming you, so it's funny to me. That's all that is.
Everyone's touched
and-
gold, and
yeah.
man, it's gold in the ring. It's beautiful.
Yeah. When you could put together a lineup like that and know that you don't really have to worry about anything, because whoever goes and pays a ticket for it, or orders a stream whenever the stream's available, they're gonna get quality. One of the things that I've always associated my name with is quality. I don't like to put out crappy product.
Oh my god, I am obsessed with the same.
And in this business, it's all about what have you done for me lately, not what have you done for me forever. And you can't go out there and put on a half-ass lineup. Not in this area, and not if my name is attached.
Not anywhere really. And I strive for that. I strive on. Sometimes it could be perspective, but I'm obsessed with putting on a great quality show to the point where it's part of the gimmick, but it's how I work my business and how I work. I am a stickler, and I want to make sure that it's done and it's perfect. And it's whether I'm making trading cards, whether I'm doing commentary, whether I'm doing whatever, I pride on my quality of work. And when I see promotions, I feel like I could help them. I'm like, you need some quality work. You need quality people who believe in your product and want to push your product and push it probably farther heights that you think your product is at.
Yep.
And I love the vision.
1000%.
I'm gonna give you the flip side of that. I am gonna give you the flip side of this.
Sure.
And here's why. I've got absolutely no problem going to bat, doing whatever I'm asked to do for a task. Let's rock. We can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are running a show, what's the first word in this? Professional, right? And you're buying your shit from Walmart or the DG to run your audio, we're going to have a problem. So
I
are you shitting on me because my mic came from Five Below? Is that
no?
No.
I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna tell you a story about when I quit working for a company halfway through the show. I finished the night, but at midway point through the show, I told him I will not be back here. I'm sorry. This is not okay. After the first match, the microphone system took a shit. Whole thing done. It was a wireless microphone with a wireless adapter plugged into one of them Dollar General speakers that you use at a party with the
a
goofy
karaoke
lights in them.
speaker.
Yes.
Oh no.
So after this, and this is when I knew I was in trouble anyway, I looked at the promoter, chucked the microphone back. I went and sat with the audience and did the announcements from the audience. It was fine because there was only 7 people in the crowd. Now, that's how I knew it wasn't going to be an issue for me to announce for them. A couple of them were like, man, we feel bad because that was fine what you did until the mic shit. I'm like, it wasn't a mic. It was the whole setup. The whole setup just tanked. Don't worry about it. We're good. So if you want to say you're a professional wrestling company, you want to say all these great things, awesome. If your poster looks like the kindergarten class cut and paste a bitch, miss me. Don't at me. It ain't worth wasting your goddamn breath talking to me if that's how your shit looks.
Well, I can tell you this right now. You come to a Titan show. We just invested a ton of money into an entrance. We just invested a ton of money into ring aprons, canvas.
Oh, I know. I saw where you ordered them from.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. At Titan, when you come to Titan, it's gonna look like a quality product. And
it does look like a quality product. It's fantastic.
And that's the whole beautiful. Appearance is everything, no matter what.
Shout out to him. Is that Charlie? Charlie, right? Charles does
Charlie hooked it up with
shout out to Charlie,
the name of the company, and they're gonna kill me. But we ended up putting in for like a raffle, and we won. So they hooked up, and now we're buying more stuff from them. Because the stuff was so quality. Matter of fact, the last
Mm.
show was when we debuted most of the newer stuff, and people were taking pictures in front of the entrance. People were taking pictures in front of the ring because the canvas looks nice.
Mhm.
When we get the whole presentation up and running, everyone's going to know that this is a quality entertainment company.
It's from Custom Pro Wrestling Products and More.
Yes.
Mhm.
I know exactly who it was. I've had conversations with them. I want them to make my tablecloth, actually.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they did great work.
I want them to
mean-
make my banner.
Well, we get them whatever fans we can right now. Let's do it because their stuff is very quality.
Oh, it is.
And I've been around a lot of companies, a lot of high end, a lot of low end, and their stuff is definitely the tops out of everything that I've seen. And it's not just a commercial, not a cheap plug or anything, because we didn't talk about who we're going to be, who's dressing up.
But if you want to sponsor us,
if you
it's
want,
out there.
but yeah,
I've had
their
that
work is-
conversation with that company already.
their work
cool.
is
See,
very
look at that.
top notch, and looking at Titan from where it started to where it is today, the growth, you could tell that there's been time invested. And that's what this is all about. It's an investment.
Right.
It's not a marathon. I mean, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon,
Right.
Mhm.
and you don't build Rome, which is kind of funny because it's Titan, but you don't build Rome in a day. You know what I'm saying?
You
And-
invest and it gets better and better and
Yeah,
better.
you have to invest and keep watering the plant. You keep watering and feeding the plant. Eventually, it's going to grow into a tree, and that's what's happening right now. So
Right. Well, a tree has got strong foundation and strong roots.
And that's the thing I see with Titan is like you guys have this quality product and now you're spreading it out. Now
Yes.
you're spreading out into this other projects that you're doing. Did you mention the other project? I think we went off on a tangent a little bit because it was hilarious.
the Martin Stone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got the Martin
So
Stone seminar.
you have that seminar, but I was gonna you have the Titan Kids.
Titan Kids. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Titan Kids.
No problem. And we'll show that because he has a seminar, and
Yes.
you should.
Well, we'll talk about Titan Kids, and then we'll go into the Martin Stone.
All
Titan
right.
Kids was originally started around the second year of Titan. I might have been the first. There was the daughter of the photographer who's around ringside, and some of her friends. They wanted to get involved. They were all really young. So we established Titan Kids for them to be a part of. They were going around interviewing the wrestlers and making announcements for shows, and it's kind of cool, And then it kind of fell off, so it went away for a little while. Recently, some more kids are involved, helping out their parents promote for Titan and stuff. So they wanted to be a part of it again, and Billy got a very good reception when it was brought up that the kids wanted to bring back Titan Kids, and that's what we did. We brought them back. So they've been doing heavy promotion. They were actually up in Hoboken, I believe today or yesterday, giving out flyers and hitting up the businesses, letting them know there's going to be a show there next week. And they were around backstage filming a lot of promos with different wrestlers on the last show. So these kids are busting their ass.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. There's 3 kids right now. They're all related. There's the oldest daughter, the middle son, and the youngest daughter. The youngest daughter, she wanted to make an announcement, got cut off. She put on that, and it was so great. Like everyone responded so well to that, and
awesome.
it's really cool to have all different aspects. In that. Somebody brought up something about, possibly exposing him to the bad side of wrestling, which is always possible because you just never know. Part of the thing with Titan, though, is that we do our best not to allow certain elements into our locker room. We do not want drinking. We do not want drug use. Whatever you want to do away from the show, that's on you, right? You're all grown men. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. When you're at the building, you're paid to be there, to be professional and work. So you're not there to, have a party or, hey, man, just a little buzz. No, none of that. None of that. Because There's going to be kids around. This is family entertainment, no matter what. And you need to be a responsible professional. And if you can't do that, then you can't work for us. It's that simple.
It's a great way of vetting. Yeah.
Will we catch every bad element? No, it's impossible. When you have a locker room of 40 guys, you're going to miss something every once in a while. But for the most part, we're usually on top of all the stuff that's going on. So you're not going to see like some creep. Look at her. She's so young. You're not going to see any of that. You're not going to see, hey, you want to have a drink, kid? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to see any of that, because if any of that happens, I will gladly go to jail for fucking somebody up for doing anything like that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm a father.
Someone's going to get suplexed. That's just
no, you know what's going to happen? Someone's going to have their arm fucking broken, because to teach someone a lesson when they're doing something stupid like that, it needs to be painful. It's not going to be, oh, you got bumped. No. I would remember someone breaking my arm because I did something stupid, or breaking my leg because I did something stupid. You know what I mean? Tina, that's the kid's mom. The kids are awesome. They're great kids. They love wrestling. They're having fun doing it. And, listen, it's just the only way we just talked about. The only way for this to grow, you have to invest. If these kids love wrestling and you invest in them and their love for wrestling, and you water it and nurture it, they're going to spread the word around to their friends. And their friends will do the same. And it grows. It's not just, a localized thing. It ends up being, hey, listen, how did this podcast grow? Word of mouth. We're, presentation, whatever, promotion. But that's what the kids are doing with themselves. Hey, I'm at school on Monday. I was at a show on Monday. I got in the ring. I ring announced. I got to be, film the champion. I got to hold the belt. You know how much of a big deal it is for most of the kids to hold a belt? It's like the greatest thing on the face of the earth.
It is. My daughter works my merch table, right? When we're at shows. And David will tell you, like, she just loves being there.
She gets more over than some people, actually.
So she went to school right after, we were on the road one weekend, and she got to meet like Jordan Grace and a handful of other people. And with her, and hell, it was with Kevin. Kevin Nasta brought Jordan and Gresham and helped me out. He brought a shit ton of people there that weekend in Tennessee. But either way, so she's at school talking to like her Amanda friends. Fuentes. Yes. Talking to all these kids in school. And she's like, yeah, well, I was with my dad and I was hanging at Thunder Rosa.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you.
And what was funny is she's like, yeah, so I was just hanging out talking with Jordan Grace. And, she went and got her face painted like me. And she was going through this whole bit. And the kids are just kind of standing there like, nuh-uh, you weren't around Jordan Grace, that girl from TV. You weren't near her. And she's like, let me get permission to bring my iPad and I'll show you the picture. And so she shows them the picture and she's just in there talking like, yeah, well, this is me with Jordan. And then this is me with so-and-so. And this is me with so-and-so. And on down the list, she goes, they all think it's the coolest thing. And she's like, that was my Saturday. Like, it's normal for her.
That's awesome.
It's so funny. And it's weird when people will talk to her like she's an adult. I'm standing there, obviously. Nobody's going to go near my kid. They know better because the locker room will fucking flip out.
Of course.
Which the locker rooms are like family, like the good locker rooms are. Yep. Anyway, she is standing there. There's nobody going to mess with her. There's nobody going to mess with my merch table. I can see her. If I can't see her, somebody in the back knows where she's at and is watching, whatever. Or in cases where we've got friends at the show, the friends are sitting there at the merch table too.
Or she's best friends with the girlfriend, so they're like besties, so they're wandering together.
Yes.
But I wanted to bring something up. It exposes, and in a good way, kids to a community. It exposes kids to to be a part of something than themselves. And
Yep.
they're working and doing that. And I think somebody actually took the words because, man, every time I try to say something, these kids are loving helping y'all, and they are fired up and appreciate all the knowledge passing down to them, and they appreciate all the help given. Soon they will be out in the community helping different organizations.
They
Yes,
definitely will.
and also, you know what? It'll help them in the future.
Yep.
It'll help them to be better adults and a
Yeah.
better community to help each other out. And hey, who knows? It might look good on a resume.
Well, see, this is the thing. Like, I loved when I was a kid, we had to do um certain like giving up your time, helping out. You had to go, senior center, or you had to go to burn unit. I love doing that because especially like the senior center, because I feel like a lot of people, once they put them in the home, they forget about them, they're out of sight, out of mind. But they have great stories. They have great experiences, stuff that we never could imagine, and I would sit there and talk to them for hours, and they appreciated that someone that because how I talk about these kids or whatever, they're the same thing. So, but when they see that there's a kid who's actually interested in what they have to say and wants to learn from them, the same thing is going to happen with these kids. They're going to go out to the community, give their time, and then everyone's going to look at them and those are good kids, no matter what, because not a lot of kids do that now. They don't want to give up their time. They want to play Xbox. I love playing Xbox. I have an Xbox right next to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I have my PlayStation downstairs. I love playing video games. That's my deal. Look, my video
girls
game
playing
cup.
Diablo right now.
You know what I'm
Playing
saying?
Diablo
My
right now.
cup is from a video game
Nice.
con. You know what I'm saying? Like, video games is my second life. But
That's not a bad
time,
idea, Kevin. Kevin said we should bring wrestling to Shady Pines.
I'm down.
That'd be
All
cool.
for it. Listen, I'm down to do whatever it takes to help get the better positive message about pro wrestling out there, because there's a lot of bad things, especially over the last 2 decades. A lot of wrestlers passed away from whatever they passed away from, and it brought a bad light onto wrestling. You got things like Chris Benoit happening, and that brings a bad light onto wrestling. People love Eddie Guerrero, but what happened to Eddie Guerrero? He passed away because of drug use. You know what I mean? Not that he OD'd or anything like that, but his past drug use led to him dying. That's a negative on wrestling. There's a lot of positive. Listen, I got to travel around the world because of wrestling.
Kevin.
That's funny. You know what I mean? But like, I got to travel around the world because of wrestling, and I got paid for it. And it's like the coolest thing. I shouldn't have been nothing. I probably should have been dead or in jail because fat, short Hispanic kid from Brooklyn. What is there for me in life to do besides, sell drugs or do crime or whatever? You know what I'm saying? But because of pro wrestling, I got to be somebody, and I'm a nobody. I'll tell everybody I'm a nobody. But I know what the deal is. I know I got to do things, a lot of cool things, like hang out with the Road Warriors and have Howard Finkel announce my name because of pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So
pro wrestling, in a sense, saved your life. For me, pro wrestling is my therapy. It was my therapy for a while.
It definitely.
I think that's great to pass this on to those kids. Yeah,
right.
If I don't have pro wrestling, I don't have my daughter, because I met her mother through wrestling. You know what I mean? She was a family friend, and we got married, had my kid. You know what I'm saying? My daughter's my favorite thing on the face of the earth. Without her, my life would be totally different. But it doesn't happen if I don't have pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
She put a headlock on your heart. That's adorable.
She's awesome. I love her. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man.
But there's a lot of great things about pro wrestling that kids should be wanting to get into. There's a lot of bad elements because of the history of where wrestling comes from, the Carney civilization, and all the scumbags, and whatever it is. But for all the bad stuff, there is a lot of great stuff. When it's great,
it's our job to protect those and make sure that pieces of garbage like that stay out of the business.
Exactly.
So
stay home, stay away. But let's bring up real quick the Martin Stone thing, because I love wrestling. I love watching Martin Stone wrestle. I love talking about wrestling with Martin Stone. Martin Stone is a 20-year vet who was recently on NXT for the last decade or so. He was a former NXT tag champion with Biff Busick. I forget what his NXT name was. Some weird name. Yeah, I can't think of it either.
Oh,
But
he was. Oh yeah, I actually just
Matt
told
Riddle versus. I got to use Matt Riddle because it was him.
Martin Harris, and then he was formerly known as Danny Birch.
Danny Burch.
Yes. But Martin Stone, I remember him before he was with NXT, and I remember seeing some of these guys.
No,
that
Danny
were-
Burch is Martin Stone. The microphone went. The
I'm just gonna
microphone
mute him
went
for a second.
ape shit.
Yeah, 1 second. Just gonna mute him for a second. Let it, and then see. There we go. All right.
Yeah, Danny Burch was Martin Stone's name.
Yes.
We're talking about the other guy.
Oh, I thought he was
He
talking
was
about Martin
music
Stone.
on the Indies, and he
Yeah.
was another insane wrestler. I mean, they were both such a great natural tag team. And
Right. Oni Lorcan.
Oni Lorcan, yes, I knew it was some weird name like that. But Biff Busick, Oni Lorcan, and Martin Stone, Danny Burch, they were such a great tag team, and they were, I believe, 2-time NXT tag champs.
The other guy.
And they got to wrestle with everybody who was down there. Anybody on Raw, on SmackDown, NXT, they had to go through Martin Stone. And so before the Titan show on October 14th, from 1:30 to 3:30, Martin Stone's holding a seminar. Like I said, he's looking to build back his confidence, but he's also looking to, show the next generation of what to expect coming into pro wrestling. As you can see, it's not for anybody under 2 years in-ring experience, and it's limited to 20 people. And for $40, it's still a bargain because a lot of these seminars are $100, $150, and you're learning from someone who was at the show, who learned under Triple H, who learned under Bruce Pritchard, who learned under Vince McMahon, who learned under Shawn Michaels. This guy was the man in NXT, and he's the man now on the Indies. And he's going to do this seminar, and then later on wrestle Joe Ocasio. So if you're looking to be one of those 20, trust me, apply for it now because it's time's running out, spaces are running out. So if I were you, I'd get at him right away.
David, make sure I get a copy of that that Martin Stone flyer.
I got you, bro.
Make sure I get it in my messenger.
Wow, what an
another
opportunity,
big
dude.
name, another big name from that era. And this, I'm just one quick segue before we get right back to what we were talking about. You look at Oni Lorcan, you look at Martin Stone. Timothy Thatcher is another.
Thatcher, yes.
Those three right there.
Those are all great white sharks. That's the way I've been explaining it. Great white sharks, because not only are they killers, they're hunters, they're predators. They kill everything that gets in their way. They don't stop moving until they finish the job. And that's how you could best describe those three men.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I seriously, there are a handful of people that can legit go. Who's the guy we talked about yesterday? Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish can go. That's not
real quick.
Oh,
real quick, Bobby Fish. About 15 years ago, couldn't get work. Right, he was trying to get on certain shows. I had him on JAP. I was willing to. I was like, this guy's awesome. I love this guy. And I barely knew him, but I was getting Bobby Fish work on Jersey All Pro, and he got booked. And then next thing you know, he goes to WWE, and I don't see him anymore. I'm like, not even. I think he went to Ring of Honor. He did Ring of Honor and blew up in Ring of Honor. There he meets Kyle O'Reilly, and then they take over the world. But Bobby Fish was someone that I was championing for I think it was like 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. You know what I mean? And, he's someone that has been shown the world over that he's a world-class athlete. You know what I mean? Like, that's just something that, again, like I said, I'm very blessed to be in the spots that I've been in, that I can help out people like a Bobby Fish or help out a Martin Stone. Martin Stone wants to go to Japan. Plain and simple. Martin Stone wants to go to Japan. There's no reason why Pro Wrestling Noah right now, they're using the elite, Gaijin Americans, Martin Stone should be on that roster, killing it with the best. And my goal is to get Martin Stone to Japan. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And this is the road to Japan for him.
Noah just picked up a guy from down here that we know. Legacy, Sean Legacy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
He
Sean
just announced
Legacy
this
just got
week.
picked up by Noah.
He just got announced this week that he's with, I believe, with Noah, or it was either last week or this week, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a thing weeks ago or months ago because of he worked out a lot. I don't quote me on whether or not he was trained there, but I know he was doing training with Palmetto, Ethan Case and them. So I know he was down there. He was involved with that, and Sean Legacy is the name that I know got picked up recently. But dude, that's awesome. There's a lot of talent that could go to Japan.
You could have your messenger blowing up, man. I'm just saying, because I mean, that's a big deal, dude. You just see the diamond in the rough, and you're just able to push them out, push them even further. Is fantastic.
Well, look,
Man,
I just want to give you a list of names of guys early on in the career. I know we're running on over 2 hours, but
yeah, I was like, yeah, let's start.
Yeah, we should be wrapping it up. But before we do, so these are just a few of the guys that I had in their first couple of years of the business that I was able to help mold and get to the next level. Jay Lethal was less than a year in the business, and one of his first JP feuds was with me and Mav. Santana Ortiz, brand new tag team. First time I ever got in the ring with them, right? Actually, Santana wasn't there yet. It was just Ortiz. Then me and Moff get in the ring with Santana Ortiz. We have a long feud with them. Actually, when they were brought in for LAX, it was supposed to be me and Moff, but me and Moff had real jobs. We had real responsibilities. We had said, hey, send Santana Ortiz. They took advantage of the opportunity given and became Santana Ortiz. Then you have a Bobby Fish. I mean, there's so many guys that from when they first started that I had a part of. Chris Dickinson, for a hot minute there, was one of the hottest free agents all over the country. Guys like that who are just looking for an opportunity or just looking for any chance they could get to get into the business, help them out and grow and give them a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of experience. You know what I mean? So if you just look at those guys right there that I just listed, I've been in the ring with Dijak. I've been in the ring with Keith Lee. I mean, the top guys, I've been in the ring with them. You know what I mean? MJF, when MJF started, I got in the ring with MJF. You know what I mean? Moff had more of an influence than I did, but we still helped mold those guys. You know what I mean? All kinds of guys. Sammy Callahan is a free agent now, right now. Got in the ring with him way back when. There's a lot of guys. Russ and Charlie Haas. Charlie Haas ended up being one half of the world's greatest tag team with Shelton Benjamin. Had Russ not passed away, it probably would have been Russ and Charlie Haas, the world's greatest tag team with Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? The list goes on and on and on. And I'm very happy and glad to say that I've been a positive influence or had a positive effect on a lot of wrestlers' careers and lives because we got in the ring and did stuff together. So that's what I want to keep on doing, whether it's as GM, whether it's as, whatever it is that I do, that's what I'm happy doing. And that's one of the great things about being Titan GM is that I can affect a wrestler's career or his life in a positive way and help them get to that next level. Because that's what this is all about, helping them get to the next level.
That's what you build up and they push them up. I don't know, like you bring yourself up and you bring people with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you build them up. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
A lot of people think it's too much of a competition, competitiveness.
It's way too
much. It should
be
collaborative.
It's not a real sport. You know what I mean? Like, but by the way, I did mark out when Eddie Guerrero wrestled for Ring of Honor and he brought the Intercontinental title, right? And now we're all looking at Eddie Guerrero because he was another one. He gave me his phone number. he yelled at me, "How come you haven't called me?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Eddie," and I made sure to call him every once in a while. But he brings the Intercontinental title. So now this is like the first time I've ever gotten to see anything real WWE, WWF, whatever you want to call it, right? And I'm very disappointed because it's missing one diamond up here, one jewel down here, another jewel. The letter is totally scratched off. And I was like, and he goes, "Yeah, they used that one for TV." And I was like,
Wow.
so much for being big time.
That's
Wow. Man,
this has
thank
been
you.
awesome, dude.
Thank you so much. Like, this interview has been fantastic.
No doubt. Thank you. It's been awesome for me. I just wish, so I apologize for the bad equipment. I'll have better equipment next time, I promise.
All good, man.
That's all good, man. It's not your fault. You didn't know it was gonna happen. But it's been an absolute pleasure, man. And you were right, because right before the show, we're like, I could talk for 3 hours if we have to. Like, we almost made it to 3 hours.
I mean, I have been called the Iron Man of podcasting before, because I've done 4 hours. I think I've done 6. I don't remember. Fuck that.
I know the longest I've gone was 4.
I don't need to do that. I got work in the morning.
Yeah, I know. Me too. It's not like I got up at 4 in the morning to go work.
I don't either, but like I got an hour drive in shitty traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I call myself that. That's right. You're right. That's exactly it. Listen, haven't you learned in the wrestling business you got to put yourself over too?
Yes,
true.
I
feel like I
not
put myself over by
jabroni.
putting others over. It's just a gift.
The problem is not everybody's going to put you over even after you put them over, and that's the hard reality of lessons that
if you go into it not expecting anything in return, the reward is all yours because you did the right thing.
Oh, I know.
That's all that matters, man.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. My heart's in the right. And that's why I'm glad that we do this. Because I get to share my passion and obsession with other people who are just as crazy and passionate about this as well. And we get to mark out, we get to have fun and talk about it.
Right.
And just share that with other people is just fantastic. We're building a community here.
Yep. That's all.
I could spell, okay?
David cannot spell. It's his kryptonite.
It's not true.
Kevin's getting in all the shots.
Well, if Kevin hadn't written that there, I would have asked you to spell kryptonite, but
So my rule of thumb is if you can't spell it, don't use it.
Oh my God! Can you imagine the promos that we would get if that was the case?
I am strong, big man, wrestle now.
I pick things up, put them down.
Put them down.
Hold on. Just be sure you show up to Carolina.
That's all right. I'm gonna kill my mom's gonna kill me when she hears about this. But my mom, she speaks good English. Don't get me wrong. But one, she's older, and two, she speaks more Spanglish now as she's getting older.
Okay.
So for whatever reason, when I was in North Carolina, she was like, "How is North Carolina?" And I was like, "Excuse me? North Carolina? You mean North Carolina? You know what I mean. That's what I said." I told her, I was like, I can't wait to get to that age where you just don't absolutely care about anything.
Yeah. No,
Right.
That's where I want to be.
Well, I'm already there.
Kevin, you got to reach out to me. There's some projects that want to get done before you leave, you goof.
He's
you have
going.
To get on
Isn't he on his way to the airport now?
Yeah, like he leaves tomorrow.
Dude, he is not going to be worried about you or your projects.
He ain't worried about nothing.
He said the only projects you need to worry about is the one over on 108th. He ain't worried about shit for projects.
Bring me back a sword. That's all I want. Sword and a wine.
A sword?
Yeah. He's going to Rome. Europe somewhere. Italy? He's going to Italy? Yeah, he's going to. Yeah.
What is it with people going overseas right now?
It's the thing to do.
No, they're getting ready to get. Hold on. You want me? Never mind. Everybody sees the news and they're like, "Oh my God, we're gonna get shut down again." So everybody's hauling ass to get out of town for a bit.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, listen, I work in Manhattan, and every day I'm seeing more and more masks come back on, and that's fine. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I'm not. Oh, they're using mask. You can't tell me they're using mask. I don't care about that stuff. Like, listen, you could make suggestions. I'm either going to listen or I'm not. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make a big fuss if you're going to tell people what to do. Whatever. But I do see a lot more masks coming up, and I know that I have offices across the country at my job, and they have had, you see it's starting to spread from the west to the east, more and more COVID coming back, and whatever, that's fine. Now it's at the point where it's, almost like a really bad cold. So, okay. But, then they're going to come up with the next big thing. It's going to be, Tyrannosaurus Rex, COVID. You know what I mean? Where your arms get real short.
We had the
figured it's gonna be
big
COVID-24.
alert today, so I thought it was going to be zombies at that
This
point.
is true.
The T virus is coming out.
Yeah.
But,
it'll be COVID. It'll be COVID-24 just in time for the next election.
Yes,
I'm sure.
Probably.
Yes.
But before Ron goes another rant, because he will do that.
I have barely spoke this evening.
I was just gonna say he's been on his best behavior, today.
which is the
You
first.
raggedy bitch!
Because,
How dare you? God,
it's like the old guy at the senior center. Just, I remember the time.
No, Steve, I have tried for 2 days, yesterday and today, to let David kind of drive this because he set these up. So because he set these up, it was his responsibility to have the pictures, the videos, the information, all that shit.
Which I did.
And it was also his job to do more of the talking than me.
Which is fair.
Right.
Well, all right, I'll give you
now
that.
tomorrow he's going to look like, he won't be able to find his ass with both hands because we're going to be talking about TV wrestling and he doesn't watch TV. So
no, I've been doing better.
he's been doing better.
I'm doing a lot better.
But
like I actually argued with the future in-laws over wrestling. It was quite hilarious as we're all drinking coffee and arguing over NXT and arguing over other wrestlers. It was hilarious. I was like, oh, this has
that
opinions.
NXT show last week was bad.
Bro, yeah, we'll talk about that Thursday.
Oh yeah, that's
real
tomorrow.
Quick,
that's tomorrow.
I know you guys are gonna have another show, and we're trying to close this up. Next week's show is gonna be super stacked with Cena, Asuka, and Cody because they're going up against AEW. Now, if let's just say their rating so it's not just enough to have a higher rating, but I feel like for them to say it's successful, they need to have like an old Attitude Era number for them to say it's really successful. It's not just to beat AEW, but to say I don't think they're going to reach that number. You know what I'm saying?
What are we talking? What's happening next week?
So next week on NXT, it's head to head with AEW because AEW is getting bumped from Wednesday to Tuesday for playoffs. I think it is or something.
Okay, so you're talking about
it's gonna be like the Monday Night Wars. We're gonna jump back and forth. Oh,
you're talking about AEW that normally pulls what 700-800K versus NXT, which has been floundering between 400 and 600. Right.
But so this is what the common thinking is because they have Cena, Asuka, and Cody, and Becky. That not only is it going to beat AEW, which it was doing anyway, right? But it needs to be at a certain number to be successful. You know what I mean? Because you're pulling out all the guns. John Cena is always going to pop the ratings. If you let everybody know John Cena is going to be there, he's always going to pop the ratings.
I agree with that. What I don't agree, I don't think we're going to see no Attitude Era. No, if they break, all right, I'll put it to you. I guess I'll throw a number on it. I don't.
Right. Guess I'm clipping this for later on Thursday.
I don't expect them. Yeah, hold this for tomorrow. I don't expect them to beat 1.2 million.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't expect them to cross 1.2 million
because even with all the stuff lately with Dom and Becky being there, what are they pulling? They're still pulling under 1 million, right? I mean, I'm not into the numbers that hard. I just know a little bit. You know what I mean?
The main guy, so you use X. The main guy to follow for any of that stuff is this dude named Brandon Thurston.
Thurston, yes.
He is
Yeah.
brilliant, and he always has all of his good shit. So let's see here. He's got his shit locked up under a Patreon now. That's fucking
Oh,
weak.
that's genius.
Last night's USA Network NXT 857,000. That's huge for them because they were around like 4 and 6 for the longest.
Well, they're
time.
coming off of that pay-per-view this weekend.
That
where they had
pay-per-view was
Dominic lose.
fantastic.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it, I'm sorry.
I didn't either.
Oof, so good.
Yeah.
I
honestly, I missed the last couple of WWE pay-per-views because they had the one in where the hell, India. I missed that. I missed No Mercy. I missed some other one, but like it just.
I don't like Braun Breaker. He's a charisma black hole to me. But him versus Baron Corbin was the match it needed to be, and it was really good.
Yeah.
The tag match was fantastic. Fatal 4-way tag match.
Run. Spoilers, man. Tomorrow. This is tomorrow, Doc.
No, I'm talking. Steve isn't going to watch tomorrow.
Steve, you need to come tomorrow. Is what you need to do.
Steve is going to be in bed early because he has early morning the day after.
See, so I'm just telling you, you should really watch that show. The ladies match, fantastic.
You should.
Becky's arm looked rough.
Oh my God.
Well, you can see fat coming out of a cut. That's not good.
That's where I was like, oh my Jesus. and then Tiffany, that I didn't realize how pretty she was until her face got swollen up right here and she was bleeding.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
But see, that's what I was talking about earlier. When you have talent that can go like that, you give them more of a chance to shine and spotlight. And not everybody's on that level. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to want to dedicate any time to certain, not all, because there's some that are really good. So you can put them on. Like if I had access to a Thunder Rosa, she would be on every show. I like Rosa, and she's a hard worker. And whenever she fights, she has passion and heart, and everything looks like a fight. So I would have her on every show. You know what I mean? Whereas some girls, not so much. But
AEW Collision, 327,000.
Remember when they were getting close to that 900 mark when Punk was there?
Collision?
Yeah. Collision. Well, no, not 900. I'm sorry. Collision had 800 on 2 episodes because of Punk.
Okay.
So
they're at 300.
Yeah.
SmackDown was 2.3 million on Friday.
Okay, turn off the Xbox real quick. Yeah.
And then AEW Rampage was 363,000. I'm trying to find last week's AEW numbers because AEW was on tonight. There's no way I'll have their numbers today.
Yeah, tonight was supposed to be their 4-year anniversary show.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking. Where was Dynamite's? Dynamite, 855. So 855. And what did I say NXT was earlier? That's crazy to me. That NXT is that close to him. 857.
But this is why we need to support and nurture the indies, the younger talent, teach them the right way, teach them to draw, teach them to be a draw, teach them to be an attraction, teach them to be something different that stands out. You can't have everybody looking the same. Yeah, you're back. You can't have everybody looking the same. Part of Ring of Honor's problem was that everybody looked like MMA fighters. If I wanted to watch MMA fighters, I'd watch UFC. I'd watch MMA. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody really stood out most of the time. That's why Dalton Castle, one of the best. I love that. He's a great wrestler, and his whole gimmick was insane because it was different from what everybody else was bringing. You know what I mean? But look what he had to work with. He had to work with all kinds of shooters when it really should have been more of a variety because Ring of Honor needed to have more eyes on the product rather than have everybody look the same and everybody be packaged the same. You know what I'm saying?
And rolling it back to Titan. That's one thing I loved about your show is the fact that it's a little bit of everything. It's all a mixed bag of different type of, but they all look phenomenal.
They all look like wrestlers. They all look like wrestlers. There's no one specific look for wrestlers, but you know, when you look at the group, they all look like wrestlers.
Well, we're having technical difficulties. I think this might be a good time.
Yeah,
to just
we're all glitching out.
Kind of end it, and we'll have you.
Who?
Yeah,
I thought everybody
just because we could go on for another 30 minutes.
Oh, sure. this show could go until tomorrow. Like we could just look.
Yeah,
hold on. I got an idea. I got a great idea.
Pull out drinks and keep talking.
You're gonna hate me. Look, all right. So we're now here with the Wrestling Wire.
Switch.
We'll just change the background. Hey, and then we'll go a month into the future. Here's the Legend Show that we got coming up. We're not even announcing our next. Have we announced our next guest yet? We'll worry about that later.
We even know what the next.
You don't. I know the next 2 or 3.
Yeah, maybe. But thank you so much, man. This has been amazing.
It's been awesome.
It's been absolutely fantastic.
Shit. When you get to the Carolinas, or I get up north, which I don't normally go up that way, I don't get shots, so I don't go north. I'm from the DC area. I don't even like going back there.
It's all right. The traffic is shit.
Yes.
Well, so 85 in Atlanta. It's all every place is overpopulated. There's a bunch of open land in the Midwest, but all of you fuckers keep coming to where we live. It's weird. I don't like it.
I will say this. I have an office in Atlanta for my regular job. So if I'm ever down there, I will give you a call and we can chop it up, maybe film it live. We'll get the two of us live and David.
Wow. I'm third man out. Really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, if you want to join, you can join. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not paying your gas for you to get here.
Right.
I am not. That's not happening. You forget it. No, if you make it to the Carolinas, there's a venue I've got to show you because you won't believe it unless I show you.
Okay.
That's one. And right. 2, I'll have to definitely introduce you to some of the talent we got down this way that
Agreed.
I think would be pretty fun for you.
Well, I could tell you, like I said, in 24, Titan will be down in the Carolinas at least 2 times. I know of one that's already definite.
I got the date. I can't talk about it. I did.
Talk exactly.
About it. I'm already. I was like, yeah,
NDA.
I'm on his radar. That's fantastic.
But it's happening. So and there'll be more. You know, I definitely see Titan down there a lot more, especially between the Carolinas and Atlanta. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Georgia in general. You know, when we're down there, you know where I'm going to be. I'm right here with you guys.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, this is fantastic. And you know Billy's going to want to promote, and Billy's already said he's going to help promote us. He loved the idea, and then especially for the anniversary show coming up, we've been talking, so we'll make it work.
That'll be cool. We will announce some of those things at a later time. But guys, once again, Steve, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, sir.
David, it's been a fun show. So let's work on getting this one out of here. Guys, thank you all of you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Yep. Please like, hit, share, subscribe, follow Steve. Steve, where can they follow you?
On X at Steve Mack, DHS. MACK, like it says on the screen.
Yeah.
And where can they follow Titan?
So Titan has if you look up Titan Championship Wrestling on all social media platforms, they should come up. Titan Championship Wrestling. As far as I know, they're the only ones that have Titan Championship Wrestling, so it should be easy to find. Look for the purple and the gold.
And this guy, yeah, of course I'm marking out Kevin. I at this point I could say I am Titan proud, Titan strong.
Hell yeah.
I need a t-shirt.
I'll get one. I'll get one to both of you guys.
Look, there you go. I just dropped the link. And Billy just chimed in. I just dropped the link for Titan. Billy chimed in. Hey, Billy, we are going off air, but hello. We're about to sign out. Oh, my Christ. Of course.
Well, you know what it is? Billy is driving. And when Billy's in the mountains, his signal is worse than my mic. So he will drop out all day. Like, it's just the worst. So.
No, thank you, Billy, for the opportunity. Thank you for, telling Steve to jump on this. Without you, we wouldn't be having this. He's probably stopping for cigarettes. That sounds like Billy.
Cigarettes and food. Yep.
It's
but we're definitely gonna have to have
11
you guys
o'clock,
back.
depending upon where he's at. If he's in, dude, I swear I found the best Wendy's. It's at a truck stop. It's in Blacksburg.
Ron, we don't need the rants again. God bless.
I had to do it. I had to do it because I couldn't even look at you when I did it. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. It's been a great show. We will see you tomorrow night live right here, 8 p.m. for the Wrestling Wire. Take it easy.
Buenos Doritos, buenos nachos.